Good morning, and I do mean good morning, and welcome into the SMITE Challenger Circuit. It's Finch and Mifflin here as we're going to take you through our SCC set for the day. That's going to be Winter Dogs up against Hugs and Kisses. See, I wrote it down. No way I could forget it. Miff, how you feeling, man? I'm sure you're excited to get into this match.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, good is the adjective that I'd use to describe it today. I mean, any day where I get to talk about the Deanster on the battleground of the
Yeah.
gods is gonna be a good one, right?
Yeah, certainly, right. And it's one of our oldest pieces of talent that we got here, not in terms of his age, but how long he's been around. And my man can still frag, certainly. So I'm excited to see what he'll have for them here today. Let's go ahead and take a look, though, at the schedule and what games that we're going to be seeing coming up. The one that we're obviously talking about here right now is that Winter Dogs and Hugs and Kisses. Though, if you stick around to the end of the broadcast today, which good Lord, you've been with us for a while. Good, get a grip gone. Tahiti will be playing alongside Slaughter Squadron and Froggy. So certainly want to make sure that you come back around to check our amateur casters, be the ones to show us that show. And then we can see where all the teams are actually chilling in the standings here as well. Winter Dogs all the way up at the top. Hugs and Kisses, though, not too far away with a 2-2. It's kind of a four-car pile up there, Mifflin, near the top of the standings.
It is a three-way tie for the first. That's actually pretty wild considering how competitive this league really is. And this league is so deceptive, the SOC, because there is just interspersed between every team is just individual pieces of SPL talent, be it solo or troll, be it Andinster. It's absolutely wild that these guys have been playing the game for as long as they have, and they're still sticking around in competitive.
It really is nuts, isn't it? These guys clearly hungry to come out and prove themselves that they're still capable of playing Smite at this high level. And we'll get our chance to see that here in this set. We're already in to the picks and bans here. And one of the things that I've noticed, I've not done quite as much Challenger Circuit as you have, Myth, but they have their own meta. Yeah, you're right. Chuckle at that. They have their own things going on here. Not quite the same as what we value maybe up in the SPL. Some of the same things will make it through. Obviously, the Persephone getting banned here, but this first overall Poseidon ban does feel just a little bit different, maybe trying to take a bit of a shot over there towards Winter Dogs.
Yeah, these are some of the most orthodox bans you're going to see out of this level of play, right? The only thing that is really questionable, oh, never mind, there it is. The Odin ban and the Poseidon ban coming through from Hugs and Kisses. A little bit more interesting, perhaps targeted out towards Winter Dogs, something that they've been able to play pretty consistently in the past. They've tossed this Odin into the support and into the soul lane. See, I have been watching a lot of Challenger Circuit in the past, but I think that it's not that they've got their own meta per se, it's that each one of these teams is playing their own individualistic style, and they scrim each other so often that they just want to take away whatever's most comfortable.
Right, want to make sure they're getting some of those comfort picks from the other side. Maybe up in the SPL, you're banning away Rom, Cupid, Amaterasu, Yamoja. No need for that here, Myth. We let those picks ride and see who wants them. Erlong Shen already here, though, for Hugs and Kisses. Achilles on the other side as well. Erlong Shen pick does make some sense to me, though I am a bit surprised by the Achilles being taken this early. But that's going to make me think that they want aggression and maybe even a flex pick in that slot.
Yeah, we see Achilles in the jungle pretty often. We've seen Achilles in the support down here as well, so that is a pretty strong flex pick for them, trying to keep them on their toes. But it's interesting, right? Like, Amaterasu's open right now. Cthulhu's open right now. There's so many. Yamoja, oh my god, the best god in the game is still available to be picked right now. It's so interesting to see how these guys decide to play around, and I think that it really does come down to, do any of these teams have players that are comfortable on Yamoja or capable of playing it? And so far, we don't really see it, so they go down to the next best thing. Hugs and Kisses pick themselves up a Sobek. I think that's one of the best Guardians in the game right now. It's got fantastic peel. It's going to make it much harder for this Achilles to operate, but it could have been a Yamoja, and that's all I can think going forward.
Yeah, but they've been plucking since it was Attack the Minotaur, right? They know how to pull off this Sobek, so they don't have any concerns in terms of the execution on this one. So they'll go ahead and grab that Sobek Jingwei combination. Pluck into the knockup is some pretty good guaranteed damage over there in the dual lane. They already have the Erlong Shen. I wouldn't mind a big sort of maybe burst maids in the middle lane now to go along with all this setup you've got between, you're thinking Erlong Shen, jungle, Sobek support. Someone that can really capitalize on the roots, plucks, tail whips that are going to be coming out.
Yeah, you know, think of Hebo, you think of even Raw, something along those lines, but I imagine Winter Dogs are likely going to try and toss out some mid lane bans here. It's going to be the hell first up overall. Wouldn't be surprised if they're worried about sustain if Aphrodite gets followed up with that, and would be a pretty decent ban, Aphrodite and Erling Shen together. One of the age-old wombo combos of the game, turtle form and a back off, incredibly strong, but it seems like both teams have a slight focus on these mid lane bans. Hugs and Kisses taking out the Raw.
It's a good point. Neither team has picked their mid laner yet, so both teams are swinging at the role they both need. So we're probably going to have to come a little bit deeper down to the God pool. Still, Somehow the solo lane bans evade as the Ama making her way through unscathed. It'll be Vulcan banned away. Ra,
Wow.
Vulcan, Morgan, and Hell are the picks here, and they're just making sure that over on Winter Dogs we don't see the People's Vulcan potentially coming out on that side, so they're taking it away. And now we can see where Winter Dogs want to go with perhaps their mid lane pick, but it doesn't have to be. They still need a solo laner. For some reason, I was just sure Achilles is going to be jungle here in this matchup.
You knew
but yeah,
it.
they still need the solo laner Wukong.
They do. Wukong gets picked up here. Pretty strong pick. Very safe. Very survivable. Soul Eater getting that recent change makes him much, much stronger, if not only in cooldown, but also just sustained throughout the lane. So I really like this pick. But when Hugs and Kisses decides to dedicate a ban to Vulcan, I like to call that the I'm going to force my enemies to play something better. If my enemies picked Vulcan, I'd be beside myself with laughter or joy or something along those lines. Instead, though, ban it out. Now, Winter Dogs just gonna have to pick a better pick in my mind.
And that's good work back there by production, because I did have my hopes up that we'd see an Amaterasu get picked here, but they knew how to mess with me. It's Cucullin instead that we'll be seeing happen down here for Hugs and Kisses. And listen, Cucullin has been doing really well lately as it is 10th pick Yanis. I'm sure I'll let you talk about how much you like that in just a moment here. But we've actually seen Cucullin's pressure be pretty dominant here lately, so not going to complain too much about this Hugs and Kisses draft.
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty standard Smite draft. It feels very Season 6 to me, but I'm going to hit the Yanis because you left it up for me. Banning Vulcan might have been a good call. Might have just been straight up a good call because Yanis is a worse pick than Vulcan. So props to him. Hugs and Kisses know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure no one on Winter Dogs is Heroin, right? That is the checklist that I go through for a Giannis pick. Are you Heroin? Then fine. And if not, then not fine. But we'll see here in this game. We've seen Giannis do plenty of crazy stuff through space and time, makes the portal, sets up the squad. So let's go ahead and move into game number one and see how Winter Dogs want to make these picks work. As well as Hugs and Kisses with a bit of an old school core, right? The Sobek and the Agni are pretty old school pick. We don't see Agni that much anymore, but I think it certainly can work. Though, I was saying you want kind of maybe like a big burst mage there in that middle lane to follow up. Agni can be that once he gets some items online. His damage is nuts, but I kind of think of Agni as having decent setup too with that range stun. Find a mage with better engage than that, dude.
Yeah, it's very strong, and it also kind of de-incentivizes anyone on the side of Winter Dogs trying to pick up a Magi's Cloak or something like that, because it's so easy just to toss it out there. You just use the Flame Wave into the stun. You don't even have to dedicate the ultimate itself, and you can just immediately burn off someone's CC immunity. I think it's such a strong pickup. As well as Agni is just a god that's very good at applying passives. Divine Ruin, very strong right now. The passive from Agni, having that dot damage on it, means that it's every single time ticking with that Divine Ruin, which might make it a little bit harder for Gamma to get some of this healing online, or if Aquarius decides to go for Soul Eater as well, which is something we've seen out of this level of play, Achilles Jungle, where even if Andenster decides to play the old school Pele build and pick up a Soul Eater, it's going to be so strong for Primitive.
Yeah, I think that it is here going to be a good pick, this Agni. I'm a big Agni stan myself. This god feels so much fun to play, but an invade coming through from the Winter Dogs. They're looking to see if they can strip away the red buff, and I think this makes some sense, right? Agni and Sobek, maybe not the best fighters this early, but this has not been clean. Meanwhile, Chronic just soloing Aqua over in the solo lane. That's nuts. Red buff goes to Hugs and Kisses. They defend it. Okay, not a solo. Kirmi was there, thank God. So a gank over there in the solo lane.
Yeah, you know, a cringe gank, but in the soul lane for once. Maybe soul laners have something to complain about going into the future. As this is such a strange grouping from both teams, dedicating so much to the center of the map, leaving these ADCs alone for solo farm. But because Winter Dogs are doing a 3 split instead of the 2 split that we saw from Hugs and Kisses, they should have fallen ever so slightly behind passively.
I like that, though. I wonder if Hugs and Kisses kind of call an audible with that solo lane gank once they realize how much pressure Winter Dogs are trying to put on that red buff. Or if maybe just convenient timing, they were already going for that solo lane gank, as Oceans has blinked in, found the charge prey, but not going to be much more follow-up here as in comes Rinjaru, knockup is there, and now Yuji in some trouble, dash in, and I'm mistaken, a second kill ends up going over to Hugs and Kisses.
So sick from Oceans. Maybe a slight delay on using the pluck after the blink is able to catch out the roll from Big Yuji, making it so much harder for him to escape. There's no way for him out there. He's got to juke inside the minions, maybe return some damage, because the ability of Jingwei to close that gap with the first and third ability is too strong. We saw Gamma try his absolute best to put some body blocks in there, but you got to be so much higher health. It's so impossible to body block every single auto, and if it only takes one to finish off your opposition, I mean, good luck.
Listen, this is why we're seeing so much Sobek get played, right? It's because at the end of the day, Pluck is just good, right? It's about as good as you can ask for in terms of consistent setup as long as you're able to hit it. As Oceans does take a little bit of poke, trying to move up and steal away that purple buff from Winter Dogs. I like the way they're using their pressure, though. Meanwhile, Hugs and Kisses, Kermie has set up a tent in here in solo lane. It seems his second time over here, and that means Aqua does not get a blue buff. Maybe roast some s'mores, bud, to make it fun at least. But Hugs and Kisses have decided Aqua's not going to get to have any fun.
They sure have, but Winter Dog's trying to reprise that red buff invade on this side of the map. Gamma so low health already, being a level 3 Sun Wukong, means that he doesn't have that ultimate available to him, so he's got to play a little bit safer around this invade, but Ocean's maybe the least safe of them all.
Good use of the charge prey. Now Primitive just needs to provide the peel, but doesn't get there in time. Annenster will get the kill. Now there is a wave in mid. This isn't clear wave. We've got pressure, then we invade. This is just the invade part, and Winter Dogs have certainly stolen it away. Now they're back over to take a look at clearing up here mid. Primitive is there for the defense, but Winter Dogs have been insistent, Myth, on this red buff pressure. And Hugs and Kisses, though, maybe are able to find their response. Kirmi shows up somewhere else on the map. It's mid this time, and that's another kill as Panda Turtle goes down. Annenster can't get any response, and Hugs and Kisses now up 3-1.
And notice how the pace of the game is negatively affecting these supports so badly. Oceans and Gamma both level 3 at this point, both struggling to find farm because they keep getting dragged into these fights, and it's going to continue.
It is. Gamma rotating over. I didn't even notice that it was indeed the Sun Wukong support. I mean, we noticed, we hadn't talked about it here yet. We thought that Aqua pickup was going to potentially be going into the jungle, and that we'd be seeing Wukong in solo, another Guardian need to come in, but they locked in that last pick, Giannis, which kind of showed for us where they wanted these picks to go. They sent Aqua back over to the soul lane with the Achilles, and Gamma going to make this Wukong work here in support. This is something I think I've heard Gore laud before with all the potential damage you got from Tiger's stun. How do you like it?
Well, you know, all right, but I'm going to take this one, and it's going to be forced into using the ultimate. Gets caught out by Renjaro with the airstrike. See, you know, I can do it sometimes,
Not
too.
bad.
Yeah, Sun Wukong support. Here's the thing. It's so conditional because I think most warrior supports are pretty reliant on getting a lead if they have to dedicate their body for CC. But look, you can have this one. Panda Turtle. No, I'll take it too. Panda Turtle forced to use the ultimate, escapes. Another fight on blue buff.
Like, do we need me, man? You got the knowledge and the play-by-play. As Aqua is sent back over to the tier 2. Now, this is the blue buff being looked at by Hugs and Kisses. Just heated pressure here for Andy. And all things considered, I'm pretty impressed that Aqua's been this close to Chronic still in terms of farm, considering how much time Kirmi has spent bullying him out. Panda Turtle also low and having to retreat here in the middle lane. So I think Kirmi's had a great go of it so far in the jungle. As Jaru being locked down, Gamma did a good job interrupting, but Jingwei so safe. And now it's Andy that might get collapsed on. Right there waiting for him is Oceans. The Agni Bomb's there as well, and nowhere for Andy to go. Hugs and Kisses with the 4-man collapse. Blow up the jungle.
Yeah, interesting that Winter Dogs decide, okay, I get it, I understand. They want the red buff. This is like the third invade attempt that we've seen so far, but every single time you invade it, it makes Hugs and Kisses know, okay, well, they're going to be on top of this timer. So the third time, you have to bring your full force. You have to bring all 4 to the invade, but instead, Winter Dogs bring 2, Hugs and Kisses bring 4. Easy clap.
Yeah, I'm running away with that bird form. I see that Panda Turtle's waiting, so a portal could be in order for him if it's needed. But I doubt it's even that serious. The portal there anyway, and he makes it out. But Aqua being ganked again, only gets a 1-man stun, but I think that did enough. Aqua handling it here at this point. Still, really no 5th prot aside from the Warrior's Blessing. It looks like he's going to be considering going into a Soul Eater as well. So I think these ganks have some life to them, right? Some legs, because it's not as though he's particularly tanky.
There is some merit to it as well, and we're not seeing the disparity grow between Chronic and Aquarius too much because of how often Kirmi really is there. He's splitting waves. Kirmi is splitting waves with Chronic, whereas Aquarius dies, comes back, gets another solo wave to himself. Eventually, he's going to be able to likely even pull ahead if we see the same pressure from Kirmi. But if Chronic isn't pulling ahead, Kirmi should be, because he's not only farming the jungle, but also Chronic's waves. And that's why we're seeing this disparity grow in the jungle, actually. It's Annenster who's suffering ever so slightly. Now 2 levels, or about a level and a half down on the Erlang Shen.
Yeah, poor Andy only has, you know, his buffs and occasionally some midways. Meanwhile, Kirmi's got blue buff, solo wave, and all the rest of the jungle, too. It's been helping him out. Also, 2-0-1 doesn't hurt, as Andy's taken a couple of spills so far this game. About a 2K gold lead, then, for Hugs and Kisses at the 7.5-minute mark. And They've earned every bit of it, right? It has been relentless pressure from Hugs and Kisses in just about every lane, except maybe Duo, where Winter Dogs have been the aggressors, and they're not satiated. They're not done with just stripping away the blue buff farm. They go up to steal away the left side mid Harpy, the one that's supposed to be safe, and Winter Dogs can only watch.
Yeah, supposed to be safe, supposed to be the suspect word there. Definitely goes the way of Hugs and Kisses. It just feels like Winter Dogs came in with a strategy of this early aggression. That's why we're seeing this triple front line draft. The Achilles, the Sun Wukong, and the Pele all very dive focused. But, man, why do I even try? Another fight in mid.
Good use, though, of that portal from Panda Turtle. Gives Gamma time to use the ultimate. He makes it out. That is the clone on the chase here, pretty clearly. Annister, though, kind of stepping up here a little bit. Gotta be careful. Lots of Hugs and Kisses waiting in the jungle. That sounded a little bit more pleasant than I meant it. Lots of killers in the jungle wearing Hugs and Kisses jerseys, okay? And they force Winter Dogs to back off.
Yeah, an absolute brawl everywhere we go. Doug can't keep up with all the fighting, duo and mid.
It's too much for you. Don't feel bad about it. They're just constantly throwing hands. Didn't quite work out for them there as Winter Dogs were able to escape, but you can tell, huh? Oceans is on the hunt, and Kirmi is on the
God,
hunt.
Oceans.
He's almost alone. Kirmi finally closing the gap, so there'll be some follow-up.
There should be. Oceans trying his best to work his way through the jungle. Gamma should have spotted him out here, so there can't be too much. Plucks him into the red buff.
But they know he doesn't have ultimate. Gamma
Good
vulnerable
God.
and can't make it to the portal. The burst is there, and on the hunt is Hugs and Kisses roaming around the jungle like a death squad, daring you to step up. And there, Gamma pays the price.
He sure does, and that pressure should continually find its way onto Gamma as long as that ultimate is down. Electing to pick up the blink so early on is going to make him a lot less survivable, and already we're seeing being level 7, that's tough. Both supports pretty far behind the curve, 3 levels down on the enemy ADC, the same through mid as well. It seems like if anyone catches out a support, they should fall pretty easily in this game. Whereas we're seeing Kirmi really slow down his pace as the time ticks on. He hasn't really been ganking solo lane nearly as much. His proactive plays have really just been following up on Ocean's farming out through diving the enemy back camps if he so chooses. It's interesting that he pulls a lead in the early and then decides to slow it down there. Normally, when you're 3-0, you kind of want to hit the jets, to use the 408. I'm really digging the hit the jet.
Clearly.
I think that he's kind of missing an opportunity to kind of push his lead while he still has it.
I think he might be too, but notice that Gamma picked up the Warrior's Blessing as opposed to the Guardian's Blessing. He's got like, what, 3 stacks on that at this point, and he's going to be way behind in gold. I think we had the net worth up a little while ago, and even Oceans, both at the bottom, was like 600 gold ahead of Gamma. It is going to be a bit of a deficit for this Wukong. He has 0 pressure, 0 gold. Yeah, it's about 500 or so that he's behind, and you got to bet that some of that is just the difference in Guardian's Blessing.
It's gotta be, and it seems like this is the playstyle support when you're playing ranked and it just like ticks you into support. You didn't queue it, and you just didn't want to play it. That's what Gamma's doing right now. Warrior's Blessing, Warrior Tab Eye, and Blackthorn, and he's suffering for it. Look at him. He's gonna have to go back to base with his tail tucked firmly between his legs.
No, I'm the Warrior support. I'm supposed to have pressure as Kirmi again punishes Panda Turtle. Good portal gets him over the wall, but he has to expend the beads to set that up, so Panda Turtle even more vulnerable. Look at his build, though. Chronos Pendant, cooldown boots, and Mage's Blessing. My man has portals. It's Kirmi now. Relentless is looking for Yuji. His beads also on cooldown, and Oceans guarding the escape path. Does use the Sickening Strike. Can't find anything else, and Yuji survives, but that's 2 beads taken in 10 seconds by Kirmi.
Yeah, taken in stride at around the 12-minute mark as well means that Hugs and Kisses with a lead, with the advantage in active, should be able to work their way into the gold free if they're able to reset. But Annister lurking in the jungle, seeing if he can catch someone out, trying to take away that lead where it lies. But instead, just goes back to base, decides maybe this gank a little bit less well-advised than he'd like. I want to see Hugs and Kisses regroup now. Regroup, either fight in the 3v3 or move immediately in towards the gold free, force Winter Dogs to respond, and if they do respond, Big Yuji and Panda Turtle don't have their beads available. They've got so many ways to CC and immediately blow someone up. I think it's a missed opportunity if they don't try and force their lead here.
I'm thinking so too. Hugs and Kisses need to take advantage of the fact that they are ahead. Look at the XP per minute chart, though. You knew that it was going to be this nuts because Rinjaru is ahead of the solo laners, level 13. 631 is the XP that he's getting per minute. I don't even know where it's all coming from, but look at his slash line. He's 2-0-2, and Yuji has been under pressure all game.
He has been, and Gamma and Anister need to stop stepping into the realm of Primitive's range, lose out on half their health for trying to take that, what should be safe mid-harpy, right? Not safe this time, taking damage over the wall. And look at this grouping from Hugs and Kisses. It seems like they might be moving in towards the gold after that good bit of poke.
But Myth, gold isn't killing someone, so why would they want it?
Yep.
Instead, they could be waiting to set a trap and see if someone from Winter Dogs walks in. Now,
dude, just hit it. No one's coming. Just hit it. If they just, it'd be dead by now.
The thing about how no one came in to bring their trap is that, of course, it would have been a great time to do the Gold Fury. But hey, hindsight's 2020. Hugs and Kisses, and maybe miss an opportunity there, Myth, and instead,
oh, here we go.
Winter Dogs are okay. But now they'll come back over to the gold. As it's been what, an uninterrupted minute since anyone from Winter Dogs has been near the Gold Fury. Finally, Gamma makes his way in, but it's way too late, and they take H and K get the objective.
Hugs and Kisses just too smart for their own good. All right, we're going to go into gold because we got the advantage. They're going to come in. They have to defend. And now diving into the mid, Panda Turtle, no beads. That would have happened if he walked into gold. Unfortunately, they catch him in the center of the map and pick him up there. Now, Tier 1 tower freely exposed. Where's Anister? He's between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 of H&K.
Which means that this mid Tier 1 is just free, and Andy is going to slowly make his way into the jungle. Instead, no, he can defend that mid Tier 1 on his own, right, Myth? I'm right there with you, so he gives up on it. Mid Tier 1, now the Gold Fury, the pick on to Panda Turtle, all belong to H&K.
This lead is starting to get pretty bad. 5,000 at 14 minutes is F6 territory in my mind as far as a casual or ranked game goes. But this is competitive, so there's ways back in. And Winter Dogs has a team comp that can fight despite a deficit. This Achilles is always going to have an execute. It doesn't matter if you're behind. If they just get someone low enough, he might be able to chain a couple together, and he's the sole lead for Winter Dogs, about one level up on his opposition. It's all those waves we got split in the early game, Finch. Kirimi's a selfish jungler, all right? The kills weren't enough. He needed the solo lane waves as well. And it seems like since that first one, Winter Dogs has been free to farm out the solo lane. No one's really gone back over in about 10 minutes or so, since then, we've seen Chronic rotate out a fair bit. Aquarius, not so much, so he's just been farming.
And we haven't talked about it, but Winter Dogs' comp is heavy physical, right? I mean, yes, Giannis can do good damage, but take a look at the way Chronic's building, right? It's Mystical Mail into Void Shield. It's an early sovereignty from Oceans. I think they're recognizing that physical defense is going to go a long way in this match as Kirimi decides, hey, listen, it's my fault Aqua's ahead. Maybe I ganked. Nope, actually, he's
Give me the wave.
Yeah, I'm taking the wave instead. Well, Aqua's gonna keep going because Anister is here. There's the blink in, knock up, and Kirimi is low. A little bit of revenge as Anister gets the kill. Now Ocean's made his way in, misses the pluck. Now he's on the wrong side of the map, but that leaves Anister stuck, and he ends up falling 1-for-1 jungle for jungle.
That's wild that this fight is still going. Ocean stepping up a little bit further. Now that Primitive is here, the damage output is coming through, but it should fizzle.
But Aqua has been plucked back in. Ocean still want this fight to go, but bit off more than he could chew there for sure. Good tail whip, and Gamma is dead. This Wukong support has not worked. That's it. That's the long and short. It ain't working, bud.
But he has a lead, Fish. He's a level up on Oceans, maybe. So it's got to be working somewhere. He's got the sledge online now. He's got, what, 8 stacks on that Warrior's Blessing? He's really starting to swing, but so is H&K. Renjaru, during the whole duration of this fight, has been split pushing and picks up a Tier 2.
Aqua goes in, does not take his escape path with the portal, and leaves free of charge. Man, it's just been a crazy game here so far. A relentless pace with 11 kills in 16 minutes. And now, maybe Chronic can get this kill onto Aqua to make up for being behind. It's a killing spree now for the Kakalin solo lane, and Andy sticks around, or Aqua rather, way too long. Ends up paying for it. Now it's the Pyromancer for H&K. No one nearby to defend, so this is theirs.
And take a peek at Aqua's build as well. He's got no dedicated defense items. I wouldn't even call those the true hybrid items. My man is squishy at this point of the game. If he gets plucked in by Oceans, Primitive, 2 bombs and a flame wave might just kill him. With the help of the rest of his team, it should be enough. And it's so strange that H&K decide to fight around the 1 lead. As I hold my breath, Anister losing 50% of his health to 2 auto attacks from Renjaru. It's interesting that H&K decide to fight around the only lead that Winter Dogs have. That whole fight originates once we see H&K try and gank out the solo lane. That's the only place where Winter Dogs might be favored in a fight, which is the reason that's the only place that Winter Dogs is able to take back at least 1 kill in their favor. I think that if H&K want to, they should be able to fight anywhere else on the map without any recourse. Might as well do that.
But it did end up setting up for them to get Pyro, so maybe fighting where the neutral objective was, but is it super worth going to the only place where Winter Dogs can fight back in? I suppose that's the cost benefit analysis they're making. Listen, you gotta decide if the risk is worth the reward, Miff, and that is how you make decisions.
Yeah, it's just a risk reward situation, right? It's a classic risk reward, and I think H&K evaluated it properly. Not only did they win the fight, but they also pick up the objective and create space for Renjar to take down a tier 2 on the opposite side of the map, which opens up a Phoenix, which
Yeah.
opens up a win condition. That classic risk reward again coming into play, and H&K playing it well.
Yeah, I think Renjar are doing a great job this game so far. Level 18. Sometimes you see hunters and they get this kind of a lead go crit, especially on Jingwei, but Renjaru's kind of stuck to the traditional build, right? The Atalanta's bow, the kin size. This is the build that has got people hating hunters so much right now. If a silver branch and an Odibo come through, then Renjaru's gonna hurt. Oni Fury going over to Hugs and Kisses. But this is a great response from Winter Dogs because Hugs and Kisses are so disparate. Winter Dogs group up and right, steal the tier 2 in response to the Oni. And Andyster and Panda are going to keep right on pushing. Panda Turtle finally leads with the portal, but I think the damage is done. That might even be worth more than the Oni Fury.
It might be, but it depends on what H&K do with this Oni Fury.
Yeah.
Should be able to split up the map of Winter Dogs if you catch them anywhere else trying to clear out these waves as they start to barrel in towards the towers. It could create an opportunity for H&K to move in towards the Fire Giant. But you know what, Finch? I gotta post a question to you, man.
Okay.
Gamma, every time I see him on the screen, every single time Doug has him in focus, I see him take 50% of his health and immediately disengage. Has he hit a Tiger Stun yet? I'm not sure.
Well, he's only hit 9 times this game. Look at his Warrior's Blessing stacks, right?
God.
I suppose there's like the 10-second gap in between where there's overlap, but largely he's hit 9 enemies so far.
All right, I don't think any of those were Tiger Stuns. They might have been Ox forms as he tries to escape out of like the dive comp.
Yeah,
that was a good ult too. Whoa!
Yeah,
Yuji, you can't just stand in those.
Yeah, primitive hurts at this point in the game as Aqua is doing quite a bit of damage to Renjaru, lead or not. You are still a backliner and can't afford to take all that untraded damage. But Winter Dogs appear to be in the point in the game where they're just going to spread the map. Hugs and Kisses are in right, well then we're going to have Yuji split push in left, though it does look like Primitive is rotating over to defend. That will not equal a Phoenix.
It won't, but Big Yuji still has his eyes on the bird. Primitive, on the other hand, is playing defense. The second Yuji sees him on the minion, immediately disengages. This is a Winter Dogs strategy where they are conflict adverse, is what I thought, until Anitzer ulted in.
Yeah, Andy, I think you forgot the memo, bud. We don't win these at this point, and Andy now almost certainly gonna die, especially now that Oceans is caught up to him. Chronic should be able to cut him off on the top side, but you're right. Winter Dogs are rotating in, blink out, and Andy lives. And if Chronic keeps running, he's going to run into a welcoming party. Blink in, Chronic going to this kill. He wants me to be right. Thank you, Chronic. That is it for Andy. He falls, but Aqua still trying to make this fight happen. Hugs and Kisses have shown up in force. It's another kill as Andy baits his team into death.
He sure does. Panda Turtle loses out on the beads there as well. Was able to hit 2 with the through space in time, but you wouldn't be able to tell looking at their health bars. And Hugs and Kisses, absolutely happy with how it goes down. 2 picks equals Fire Giant when you got a 5 group on the right side.
They are going to be starting up this FG. They're up only about 4k gold. Some of the lead dropped, but this could help that. No one coming to contest, and Fire Giant belongs to Hugs and Kisses. Primitive maybe a little late on those balls, but doesn't matter when no one contests.
Yeah, what's the contest potential there even at all? It's a non-standard mage inside that Yanis. He's gonna have to walk into shotgun range to look for that unstable vortex. Good luck doing it. He doesn't have the ultimate available either. It means he's just gonna die if he steps up, having lost out on the beads earlier on in that engagement. But this is an interesting call from Hugs and Kisses, immediately going for the push, taking down that tier 2 tower, and then going back to base. I like that a lot, because now they're likely going to either group up in the center of the map and strip away that last tier 2, or initiate a split push as they work their way down the long lane, which is the most valuable Phoenix in the game.
Yeah, it might make some sense for them to at least split up for now and try and get the left and mid waves pushed up. I did mention earlier that I wanted to see maybe some crit, considering how far ahead Renjaru was, and he's on Jingwei. It looks like he was planning all along to get this fail knot towards the end of the build, so he's got some crit there as Pyromancer goes over to Winter Dogs. Earlier I mentioned that Fizz Prots might be the order of the day here from Hugs and Kisses, but they've still gone a little bit hybrid. Looks like 2 Pridwin's going to be coming out, Thebes there as well. So they're not overloading on that Fizz defense despite the comp from Winter Dogs.
Hold on. Finch, we're 22 minutes in. Time for our regular check-in with Gamma. He's up to 11 stacks now on that Warrior's Blessing. Pretty sick. Good eyes, Doug. Knowing exactly what I was going to talk about as we see Hugs and Kisses with a 4-man group on the middle of the map with an ADC split pushing on his own. That's an interesting call as they start to regroup. But you're right. This is Hugs and Kisses. They want to fight. It's Oceans moving forward, just seeing if he can find a pluck.
Yeah, he's got Kierme flanking in from the right. Mid-tier 2, as you called, is down. And I think it is time indeed for Gamma to rejoin the fight. He will back, and it looks like we'll have at least 4, maybe even all 5, yep, here to push up mid. So full 5-on-5, no splits on the map. Hugs and Kisses, though, give up on the mid when the wave falls, moves back to the left. They've got a wave here, too, so they'll push it up.
And a lot of time left on Fire Giant. Their siege potential is pretty strong considering the lead that they've already established and the Fire Giant. It's Chronic and Kierme and Oceans diving the backline, just trying to create a little bit of space for Renjaru to just nail down this Phoenix. It shouldn't even potentially come down to picks, but seeing as H&K love to play for the kills, it could come down to just a pluck conveyor belt style where you have Oceans continually pulling someone in, and then the CC chain from H&K should be able to shut them down. Whereas the defense from Winter Dogs, lacking that traditional support, means that their engage is going to be a little bit weaker. Lacking a traditional mage means that their AoE is going to be a little bit harder to come by. They might have to take a fight as a full-on dedicated engagement outside of their Phoenix, maybe on the line, with Aquarius and Anister acting as this front line and Gamma potentially peeling out the back.
It is a fully upgraded Horrific Emblem over there for Oceans. Haven't quite given him enough credit for that relic slot, so good luck trying to get away. I mean, it's gonna be difficult if you're Winter Dogs once this fight ends up happening, if you're within Oceans' range. Looks like they are gonna stick around left. They've sent Kierme over to mid to push that wave up, and Privative kind of lurking in between. So it'll be a 4-1 split this time. They send Andy over to deal with Kierme, but Kierme just pushing up the wave. He's right back with them in left for the fight. A lot of time melting off the clock here, but Hugs and Kisses finally go in. Oceans is ahead of the minion wave as Chronic goes right to UG in the back. But Gamma is also going in the back, paired with Andenster, and Privative just runs bombs at his feet. Privative does get the kill on Andy. He's still alive, and so far the defense has worked for Hugs and Kisses. I don't know why I'm saying they're on defense, but left side Phoenix down. They get 2 kills, and Winter Dogs are struggling to defend.
Yeah, the defense of Privative is successful. He can't get him out of there, that low health, and it seems like H&K, despite having Privative so low, want to end.
It looks like it, you're right, Biff. The Titan's down to half HP, but so are Hugs and Kisses, but they're all in anyway. Titan even lower, down to a quarter, and Winter Dogs do enough. Triple kill coming out from Panda, and Hugs and Kisses just barely don't have enough to end.
That was a sub 1,000 health on the Titan before that regen came through. Just barely not enough is absolutely correct. Had Privative been able to get off at least one more bomb, that would have been game. Unfortunately, being sub 100 health himself, he wasn't really capable of doing so. HK could have likely immediately just taken away the mid Phoenix and even the right Phoenix as well. Yeah. But when the margins are so thin, when you're so close to ending the game, you have to imagine that it comes down to maybe a slight mechanical misplay that takes it away from him. So I can't fault them on the decision making to try and attempt an end there. And because they're so far ahead and they've got so much space between the minion waves and their Phoenixes, there's nothing Winter Dogs can do. An opportunity cost, there is no cost. Nothing's going to happen because of it. Hugs and Kisses just get to respawn and try again.
So if I were to use a risk-reward framework
low risk, high reward.
Right, exactly. Thanks, Matt, for helping me out with that one. It does end up being in favor of Hugs and Kisses, right? Maybe they lose a little bit. I suppose the risk is that you could have gotten the mid and right Phoenix, I suppose, but they still have a chance to come back for those later on. And they're still... well, they're really not actually in the lead much at all, Miff. Look at the gold disparity. It's like, what, 2K at this point? So the biggest disparity is that left side wave is going to be a fireman wave, and that Winter Dogs have to defend it. But other than that, I mean, this is a largely even game. I got to give Winter Dogs some credit. They're very much in this one.
They are in it, but for how much longer? Your Titan is so low, and that Phoenix is so far away from responding.
Kierme used the ult, though. They want Aqua dead, and Renjaru guarantees it. Aqua falls early, so now it's a 5-on-4. But the snipes are coming through from UG, forces Renjaru into the Aegis. He will survive. No relics available for Privative, but Winter Dogs smelling blood in the water. Andy in first. Andy is done way too early, and not a hope of making that one work. I think Kierme had the Magai's cloak, which helped out with that.
He did, and Kierme immediately turns it around off that stun, and Andenser so deep alone has no room for his team to follow up with him. And we almost saw someone die to an oboe proc there. Primitive was pretty low, had to go back to base. But they've got a lot of time now, H and K, to try and work their way in towards the base. And with only 3 people standing between you and it, walk past them. Just straight up walk,
Right.
ignore them.
Yeah, it doesn't need that much damage for the Titan to fall as Chronic moves in, but Cure Me pays the iron price. The damage clearly coming through from Winter Dogs. Meanwhile, Gamma has the Thorns a-ticking. That does discourage Hugs and Kisses from fighting, but there's the pluck into the bombs from Primitive. Oxform gets him out as the bombs are not quite enough. Perhaps Gamma has finally found his tankiness at level 20 and making life pretty hard on Hugs and Kisses. Somehow, they've kind of squandered this opportunity, Myth, and he's going to be up soon.
Yeah, I need to clarify the call that I made there. Walk past them as 5 members together next time so that we don't have Big Yuji just turn into an absolute chainsaw and shred through one individual person as they walk up every single time. That oboe doing so much work in that engagement for him, but at least H&K were able to use the pressure that they found in mid, the ability to push out Winter Dogs to pick themselves up another Fire Giant. Unfortunately for them, it was about a minute and a half away from being enhanced, so it's going to be a standard one, and they didn't wait 5 seconds for Cure Me, so he's not going to have Fire Giant for himself.
Myth, if you hadn't said it's only been, well, that it hadn't even been 30 minutes yet, I wouldn't have considered it, but wow. We're only 28 and a half minutes into this one, and for some reason, I got a sense we might be here for a little while longer still. It's just been a tough path so far for Winter Dogs, but they fought their way back to pretty close to even. Meanwhile, Hugs and Kisses have missed some good opportunities to close this one out. This is still their best chance, though. And the gap between them and Winter Dogs, still the largest. They've got Fire Giant. The Titan's not fully healed up yet, and maybe they can find a window to punish.
And now if they decide to group up on that Phoenix, they're not taking that neutral fight where Winter Dogs might be a little bit more even. But on Phoenix defense, that's where Winter Dogs comp should struggle, at least a little bit more so than in a true 5-on-5 engagement in the center of the map. So I think that H&K have a pretty good idea of what they want to do here. Maybe even go in, take away the left Phoenix. You don't have to rush the Titan anymore. It's actually regen a pretty fair amount. We've got a good eye of how much damage Big Yuji can do. I think H&K should absolutely try and strip away each individual Phoenix and potentially win some fights there.
The left side Phoenix is going to be the early target, the only one that's dropped. Aqua goes in first, takes a ton of damage, gets stunned, and Aqua is removed. But Gamma has made his way into the back line. Andy and Panda Turtle are there for the follow-up, and that leaves their solo laner in some trouble.
Gamma?
Chronic low, but Rinjaru gets rid of Gamma. Kirmi deals with Panda Turtle, and again, Hugs and Kisses narrowly survive. Yuji can't do enough. It's a double for Rinjaru, and Endster falls for the DS side, a triple for Rinjaru, and I will gladly accept I'm mistaken. A nice easy in there from H&K.
Was it a triple on the game there, dude? 3 triples? That's pretty high octane combat. H&K have a much more standard draft there, and I think it plays out exactly like that. The real tipping point, the one piece of the draft that we saw from Winter Dogs that did not work out. I'm not even sure if it was full stacked at the end, that Warrior's Blessing. That Sun Wukong support was absolutely struggling. From minute 0 to minute 30, it felt like we didn't get to see much from Gamma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit surprised. Really, Aqua was kind of one of their shining lights, right? Despite the fact that they've spent so much time on him. Him and Yuji, I think, really the ones trying to keep them in that game. That's only game number 1, though. Give us a quick break. We'll be right back with game 2. Welcome back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit with Finch and Mifflin. We're right in the middle of a set between Hugs and Kisses, and they're up against the winner dogs. Hugs and Kisses, though, looked more like the winners in Game 1. The middle of the map got off to a great lead in this one. They happily passed it off to Renjaru at the end, and they were able to clean this one up in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, it looked convincing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to put a lot of onus on that game or a lot of recognition on that game because I feel like it kind of failed at the offset. It's something you like to say pretty often, where the skill check is very early on, and if you fall behind, you're kind of in this snowball situation. And I think that's what happens to Winter Dogs as Anister changes his name to "You guys are lame." That's a hot play. That's a mental play from Anister.
Didn't quite work out for him, however lame they were. He had struggles in this game, but I think as you pointed out there for me when I was going a bit awry, they were let down, I think, in this one by the support. Gamma never really got to do what you'd expect from your warrior support, right? He needs to have pressure early, be able to leverage the levels, I think, to be ahead and still tanky, and that never really materialized. Instead, he struggled in this one mightily.
He really did. It felt like he wasn't able to engage these fights very well. He wasn't even really acting as backline peel. I feel like the most we saw from Gamma was him getting away from pretty sticky situations consistently. But this is where it all started to go wrong for Winter Dogs. H&K has a very early gank in the duo lane, and then immediately over on the opposite side of the map, just 30 seconds later, pick up their second blood in a 2v2.
Yeah, and then we had this prolonged engaged fight over here in solo where Winter Dogs got one of their only kills throughout the early game, and yet somehow H&K still turned this fight around. This was the ultimate you and I were talking about earlier, jump in, Ocean's tail whips, and it's instant death. Gamma had a lot of views that looked just like that game, where he was trying to engage and it just wasn't working. This was Andy going in alone near the end of the game, blowing up there, and eventually the machine gun that was Renjaru sealed the deal on this one.
He did, but there were some silver linings for the boys over on Winter Dogs. We saw a couple of hot plays from the ADC. Aquarius looked pretty good at various points as well. I think that there were points where they could have been able to turn that around. There were points where it felt like they really could have, but it's just that their team composition was so poor on Phoenix defense that the one time where they were able to take a fight from even as they had been for the last 15 minutes of that game, only about 4,000 gold separating them at that very last engagement, it didn't really matter. They were kind of slated to lose just from the offset because of their draft.
Well, as you move into picks and bans for game number 2, I think you're right to point out, however, is Aqua in the lead with the way the early game started for him? That's impressive, and Yuji, I think, did have a pretty good game there in that ADC role as well. So there certainly were some bright spots for Winter Dogs, and maybe they can make those spots a little brighter here in the first pick position. Looks like we're seeing a lot of similar bans, though, the Heimdall and the Poseidon being removed. Remember, a lot of top-tier picks, the Yamoja, the Amaterasu, I think Cupid wasn't picked or banned in this one either, went past. Maybe that's an adjustment these squads can make, taking a look at those.
Yeah, the Cthulhu as well, but it seems like the ban's going to be remaining largely the same. H&K putting a lot of respect onto that set. Winter Dogs going to ban out the Hercules, and I think it was Persephone in that last slot last time around, and it's going to be the exact same this time. But with Winter Dogs in the first pick slot, they can make an adjustment in their P's and B's to try and strip away some of the strengths of H&K's draft. I think that if they wanted to, knowing that neither team really wants to play Yamoja, a Sobek top pick overall might do them some good.
Oh, but it's an Odin hover. I do remember Odin getting banned at some point last game. So, Winter Dogs, when they've got the opportunity, they will lock into this Odin. Rare to see Odin first picked in 2020, but that's what we have here. So H&K have a ton of options for responses, right? I mean, we've already mentioned some of the very top picks, but even if they just want the picks they had last game, they can do that as well. I don't know that Winter Dogs have done much to limit them.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It has to be a contested pick here. It has to be a contested pick. They have to know that H&K also want the Odin to justify that pick in my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me that you want that one top overall, and then Jingwei getting picked up. That makes a little bit more sense. We know that at this level, both teams would be very happy to have that pick. But Rom and Cupid are still both available, the cream of the crop, if you would, of the ADC role, and it seems like neither squad really interested in taking it for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Odin pick is meant to dissuade that these dash-reliant characters could be punished inside the cage, but it feels almost the opposite, right? The deterrent value wouldn't be nearly as valuable as you're losing by not using Odin as more of a counter pick into a comp you already know that you work well against, I'm thinking.
Wow.
But now they've got Odin cage into the giant Vulcan ult here.
Yeah, Ancient K was on some other stuff with those bans in game one because
They knew.
they must have. They had to have because it's exactly what they banned in game one is coming to fruition in game two. The Vulcan and the Odin make their way through. And you're right, they're perfectly aligned circles, like that toddler game you had where you get the square, you put in the square block. That circle fits in Odin K's circle, bud. So I think it could absolutely work out. But now this is the risk of taking Odin so early on in your draft. That's the age-old counter. You want to jump on a wave? Good luck, Gravity Surge. You want to jump into my backline? Good luck, Gravity Surge. I don't care that you have a shield. We'll blow you up anyway. There's so much CC already on H&K's draft off the Gravity Surge. You can have the knock up, the updraft from Jingwei, or the tail whip from Sobek, or even a pluck to further displace him. It's going to be so hard for this Odin to operate.
Yeah, the crazy thing is they have 3 ways to set up for the Wheelish ultimate, so whichever 2 they don't use are waiting after you've been ulted, right, to keep the CC chain going. It's scary, I think, for this Odin now. But H&K, I think, recognizing that all those good hunters are still available, I like to see some respect on their names. Rom and Cupid both banned. Meanwhile, Winter Dogs are thinking, hey, what if they go Wukong support? We gotta ban this away, it's nasty. And they do indeed ban it.
Gamma, just in P's and B's. Dude, it's filthy, guys. we can't let this one through. Immediately bans it out. I like this, though, from Winter Dogs. This Morrigan ban has been pretty consistent throughout the set, and no mid laner pick just yet for H&K. Makes sense to me, and it'd be a very strong pick. The only thing that counters Odin more than a Willigs is 2 of them, so might as well remove the possibility of that one coming through. But another unorthodox pick being hovered up here. We've seen this pick get a little bit more play in ranked recently. Apollo's actually kind of skyrocketing in popularity over there.
Yeah.
But as far as competitive goes, this is an exploitable character.
Well, I've noticed in ranked, the idea is, hey, we could just always have 3v2 fights, right? Apollos are rotating in ranked, dude. They are ulting out and showing up in mid. So maybe that's the idea here for Winter Dogs, is to have numbers advantage everywhere because your Apollo can just ult in. They also grab Mulan. It feels almost like a concerted effort to go several layers down on the tier list with every pick here, but I think that they can make it work. I mean, I know these are... Every last one of these are unconventional picks of lower value than their next 6 replacements. But I'm not saying they can't all work together.
Yeah, if you're really, really good at it, right?
Yeah.
If you're really good, it could absolutely work out. And there's some decent counter matchups here. If Apollo's really quick on it, the So Beautiful, or not the So Beautiful, the singing, the Mez that he has can counter out the Sobek pluck, or even stop the dash from coming through from Jingwei if she walks into her knockup. There's some interesting interactions that Apollo has inside of that duo lane. There are ways for Mulan to counter out Nike inside of that solo lane if they pull him out of the channeled ability. There are decent counter matchups, but again, it's just you're missing out on the best picks in the game.
It is. You got me thinking about the Apollo flavor, though. Is Apollo's voice so beautiful that it mesmerizes me? I like that. I love flavor and that kind of stuff whenever it could show up. So, hey, you got me thinking a little bit about it. It'll be Gamma on another warrior support, this time the Odin. It'll be a lot of the same stuff, though, Myth. If he struggles to get ahead early, I don't know if we'll ever see him find his relevance, though the cage this time is always good. Even if he falls behind, you're locking people in the cage.
Yeah, that is true, but the cage is not nearly as good as it used to be. Now you're capable of breaking that thing. Just a couple auto attacks is going to be all it takes. Is Winter Dogs just walk in and pull the purple? It doesn't make sense, man.
They're just stealing their purple straight up. We're not sneaking it. We're not letting y'all do the damage first. It's ours. We're taking it as Gamma locks down Oceans. And they're right. Yeah, Oceans is low. But I don't know if they can afford to do the purple buff at this point anymore. They've both been stalled out successfully. But, Gamma's waiting to steal it on the tail end. But they use the hog, they defend it. Now Gamma in a tough spot as he's been knocked up, but he's still looking for the fight here up against Yuji behind the tier 1. And Yuji gonna have to take a trip back to base.
And now Gamma moving into the red buff, but already we've got a rotation for Kirmi. It's a 2v1.
It is, but Anderster is on his way to try to even the numbers. There's the blink in, and Oceans is low. Stun lands from Gamma, and First Blood goes to Andy. Now Kirmi's stuck in a 1v2 as Gamma continues to hold W as he's done for 1 minute and 15 seconds uninterrupted. Panda Turtle here for the invade. Red buff being stolen, and this time, Myth, the unrelenting pressure seems to have worked.
Yeah, I'm an Odin support truther now. Gamma, an absolute menace for sure, has been able to turn this one around. I like it a lot, actually, this play style from Winter Dogs, and it
He's just
seems like,
walking at him.
yeah, he's just walking. That's it. I like it. I love it a lot. This aggression is very well utilized in the early game. There's no real countermeasure that H&K have at level 1 to deal with the Gungnir's might, so it's very strong for them to utilize that while they have it. But I think that had H&K shown a little bit more respect or positioned slightly better around that purple buff, they wouldn't have immediately lost out the pressure. They allowed Big Yuji to stack up the passive before they took the engagement. You're not going to win the fight when you're just at 25% of the attack speed that Apollo has.
Yeah.
Had they brought the fight to him from minute 1, didn't allow them to pull the purple, maybe then that fight goes a little bit more even in H&K's favor.
Oceans looks for the pluck. We've been learned, though, that if you're using pluck on someone with beads, it's a death sentence. There's the dash in from Yuji, and Oceans is low. So is Gamma, though, as Ranjaru's done a good job. But the So Beautiful does set up for the kill, though Ranjaru gets the trade. And I think that might actually favor H&K. They just traded their support for ADC.
Support for ADC and all their pressure as well. Winter Dog's going to be losing out a lot in the ability to push down this lane and look for another purple buff invade. The timing of that pretty unfortunate. It should allow HK to take it away for themselves pretty easily. And because these purple buffs are desynced so well, it means that if HK are able to confirm their own and they dedicate some pressure from their jungler or their mid laner to rotate in, they should be able to take Winter Dogs away as well.
What an interesting way for this lane to start, though. Ranjaru ahead, Oceans behind. I think if H&K could have picked that, they might have, but it ended up happening anyway, so we'll see if maybe they can find some kind of way to use it. It is, though, a bit of a trouble for them that Kirmi is behind. He was forced out by Andy and Gamma earlier, so they need Kirmi to find some much-needed farm, as Oceans, lurking around in the jungle, runs into Andy, who puts quite a bit of damage into him.
And already Panda Turtle level 5 has the ultimate available to him and is going to swing it.
He uses it to contest. Looks like the red buff was grabbed before that, though. It's around Primitive's waist. But you're right to point out that Panda Turtle seems to be using this Vulcan very well in the early. Is out-pressuring Primitive's Merlin easily. He rotated over to the enemy red buff first earlier and even was able to do it just now as well.
And he should be able to get a lot more pressure as we see a little bit of a skirmish and a soul lane.
Winter Dogs want this kill onto Chronic, and they've got it. Great setup from Aqua, and even with the Sentinel of Zeus, no way that Chronic lives through the two-man gank.
No shot at all. Fantastic rotation from Winter Dogs there to use the pressure that they've already established. They know where Hugs and Kisses are because they confirmed their positions around that red buff. 3 members stack up there. Means that there's going to be no way that Hugs and Kisses are going to be able to fight into that solo lane gank. So a fantastic recognition of Winter Dogs knowing when the right time is to look for that gank. It's so well played. But now they have to use this pressure well. Exactly what H&K struggled with a little bit in the early game in game 1 was pushing their lead in the early. Already 1,000, maybe 1,500 gold separating these two teams means that Winter Dogs have a huge lead 4 minutes in. That is a insurmountable amount of gold. If this Gold Fury spawns at 5 minutes with the draft that they have, I think that Winter Dogs can immediately move in. The Vulcan turret is so good at shredding objectives.
It is, and looks like Winter Dogs are considering a blue buff invade to get there too late, though, and Hugs and Kisses take it. And Myth, you're not just, those aren't talking points. You have to build up your lead while you can. Remember what Winter Dogs did in game 1? They started split pushing, stripping away tier 2s, and Ranjaru's in trouble and left. Good airstrike, though. Jingwei so unnaturally safe, able to evade the pressure. But those split pushing onto the tier 2 let them cut the gap in because the gold lead was never as large as it needed to be for H&K in game 1.
That's fair enough, but with that gank from Anitzer, we see that he at least strips away the purple buff again, and this constant pressure from Winter Dogs is phenomenal, and it seems to continue. Red buff respawns, Winter Dogs are there.
Listen, this is what they went for in game 1. It just didn't pan out, right? This time, though, it's looking a lot better. Gamma is ahead. Gamma is a relevant solo or support warrior, right? So all this pressure going to be that much more effective. And Anninster has been more effective too. I think that's been the biggest difference for me, is how much help he's been. And Anninster looking for another gank, does find the knockup. Ranjaru already used the 3 though and barely survives.
Luckily for him, he just didn't have the follow-up from Big Yuji and Inster, that is. So we're going to see Renjaro just walk out of that one by the skin of his teeth. No ultimate available. Didn't have to use the beads. Actually uses the dash very well there to create the space after the knockup instead of during. So he creates a little bit more space, not allowing Big Yuji to follow up. But Kirmi wants pressure himself.
Another step lands, but Yuji winning the duel so far. That is hard to do mentally as an ADC. It's great combo use. Yuji has the beads though. Mez allows him to escape with a better cage coming through from Gamma, saves the life of Yuji. It is so difficult to know when you can stand and fight the jungler the way that Yuji did, but great recognition.
I'm not even sure that it was a decision that Yuji made, though. By the pace of the game, that how we've been seeing these teams play, my man was going to fight no matter who it was, no matter at what point. He wanted to land some auto attacks, and luckily for him, he was able to turn that one around. Kind of like what we saw we saw from Adapting versus Barracuda yesterday in the SBL.
Right.
Just kind of stepping up to a Hunter. These
Hunter's
junglers
windows,
need to learn their lessons. Yeah. They attack fast, they hit harder than you. I mean, what are you going to do about it? Their build's cheaper, too. It's crazy that Hunters love to complain on Twitter, man. It's nuts.
You have made abilities and your autos hurt though, junglers. It's free and you gotta respond. Leave us alone, dude. It's unfair.
You gotta support. You literally have a role dedicated to helping you.
Yeah, you're right. As the mess comes through, Winter Dog's looking for the invade. It's Panda Turtle's ult that hits home. Oceans ends up getting dunked. And here's the thing. We maybe made a little bit of fun in this draft, but we said it had the chance to work if they were aggressive, and that's what Winter Dogs have done so far. They are way ahead. 3K gold at 7 minutes is devastating to the tune of diving your tier 1 tower, stunned after the ult, and Yuji has to use beads. That's it. This tower is coming down.
I don't see any reason why they gotta stop at the tier 1 here. I mean, we're seeing a disparate grouping from H&K, and we're seeing Kirmi on the right side, and Chronic no rotation either. They could have gone either for the tier 2, likely, or backed up to the gold tree, but instead, Winter Dogs don't want to take the risk. They've already got a 3,000 gold lead. Might as well back up, spend up that gold, and then regroup. They don't have to keep this pace up, because a couple of the pieces of H&K do get outscaled come late game. But I think that I would prefer to see Winter Dogs keep this aggression rolling, use the lead while you have it, and make it even larger.
They've done such a good job of that so far this game. The Doom Orb now finished for Vulcan, Crusher finished for Andy. Some Power Spike items are in effect as Yuji starts to solo down Renjaru. Some backup shows up there from Oceans. There's the bodyguard you mentioned for us earlier, and Renjaru absolutely needs it. Looks like Winter Dogs are grouping up near gold, but that's more for the oracles than the Fury itself. So still not trying to start up a neutral objective. Instead, Andy gonna look for fights. Good knock-up, though, from Kirmi, but Andy, a one-track mind, ults for Primitive. Kirmi, though, does eventually find the punishing kill. Gamma can't find the stun either, and I think Kirmi's made it out of this.
H&K want to re-engage. They've seen so much now. Kirmi finds the kill, but Panda Turtle returns it.
Yeah, Kirmi maybe getting a little bit too aggressive there. Off the mark is Oceans with that pluck, so Panda Turtle will survive. In fact, he'll step up and look for more, as this is Renjaru coming over to mid. Sometimes it feels like you have to do this as the ADC if you've lost your lane as handily as he has. He's just going anywhere where he can find value.
Yeah, anywhere where Big Yuji is, and he doesn't want that 1v1 anymore, but it's a 2v1 as Yuji's on the purple.
Yuji does find the mez, but interrupted. The charge prey there too, and in the 2v1, Yuji falls. I think Yuji did strip away the purple before he died though, so some value, but obviously don't want to die there.
Yeah, Renjaru picking up 2 kills for himself should be able to close that level gap if he sticks around for one more wave, but it was 2 levels, now 1, not nearly as big a deal. He gets a couple stacks to his name and should be able to catch up in build as well. That's a huge swing for H&K's duo lane, and it does remove a little bit of the potential for Winter Dogs to just go ahead and barrel in towards that gold tree, but the lead is still largely there. It's about 3,000 still at this point. H&K do a little bit to bring it back, but not enough. I want to see more from Kirmi. So far, it's only been a couple gravity surges, but no proactive plays, almost holistically reactionary. Up against Aquarius in the soul lane, if Kirmi decides to rotate over, with Chronic looking for a knockup, Mulan should be a sitting duck.
Renjaru is the sitting duck this time, though. A 3-man rotation. I don't know why you thought that you got to be in the left side jungle, not when you lost the tier 1. Seeing a bit glib there, an unfortunate death for him as Ocean's low too, but so is Gamma. No one can afford to chase though. They'll take Panda Turtle instead, who's isolated over to the right. Tail Whip guarantees the damage, and Kirmi gets the kill, but in comes Yuji with that Apollo ult across the sky. unable to find anything more there. Hugs and kisses. H&K get away with a 1-for-1, but Aqua wants to make it a 2-for-1. Great damage, and ends up getting the kill on the Kirimi under tower.
But now it's Chronic's turn to come in from behind. Does a lot of damage to Annon's turn, picks up the kill.
Gamma low as well once the shield goes down, but Chronic can't afford to keep up the chase. They'll look for Aqua instead, who's stuck inside the Merlin damage on the wrong side of the map. I think this rotation from Chronic has proved fruitful. They will eventually get this kill onto Aqua. I can only hope and assume. He's got Stone of Gaia proccing for additional healing off all these knockups, but it's not enough. Chronic will kill him.
But what is H&K going to be able to do with this? It's 30 seconds left on this Mulan respawn, 5 seconds on Annonster. H&K could pretty easily reset to base and still rotate in towards the Gold Fury and take an advantageous 5 versus 4 fight. But instead, they're happy with the small win. They don't want to risk anything further. Instead, grouping up inside the jungle to find some farm, leaving Primitive alone.
Gamma locks him down immediately. The beads are forced out from Primitive, and he narrowly escapes. There's the ultimate. He'll dodge that too, and will be able to get a back off. But 15 kills in 12 minutes. Another relentless pace, this time set by Winter Dogs, though, Myth, as they're hardly giving H&K any room to breathe. Looks like they are finally ready, though, to start up this Gold Fury. It's been brought down below 4K. No one loco from H&K. This belongs to Winter Dogs.
And now this gold lead getting even more out of control. 3,500 experience, 4,000 gold. So much separating these two teams this early into the game. This is backbreaking stuff. If Winter Dogs are just taking true 5-on-5 engagements, I don't see a world where they lose out unless it's an overcommit like we've been seeing a couple times around this red buff. If Winter Dogs want to, they can group up around the Pyro and force HK to respond there, group up around the Tier 1 and force a response. The only time HK has been able to get any wins in these team fights is when Winter Dogs is diving deep into enemy territory, going to H&K. If you go to an objective, you'll force H&K to group up on you instead, which is going to be a lot easier, much easier to defend than it is to attack.
Agreed. The enemy has to come into the ground you've already claimed. You can find some damage. It's like fighting, fighting downhill, I suppose. You've got all the advantages. As Winter Dogs.
The high grounds.
The high grounds, certainly. Anakin. I got it. Hey, don't come up here. He didn't listen though. Winter Dogs in a pretty comfortable spot. That's crazy. Why did he leap up there, Myth? That's my question. How does he win that fight from there? Only one tried to tell him.
He literally warned the man. Your teacher tells you something, you should listen. But I don't think it's that bad. We're not over a lava pit in Tatooine or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never seen Star Wars. Gonna expose myself real quick.
Hey, you
but
knew,
Winter Dogs, yeah, was it Tatooine? I'm pogging off.
Oh no, it wasn't Tatooine. No, but it was a lava pit. I thought that's what you said. But yeah. So now Winter Dogs are looking for more pressure. Chronic underneath the Tier 1 is the target for Aqua, but Gamma may have overstepped, drops the cage, and there's the ultimate. Maybe a little bit of a bummer. Kirimi has to use it there, but they guarantee the kill. Annonster still running, though, as Chronic finds the slow, forces the beads out from Andy as Chronic continues up the chase, and Annonster makes it out of there. Aqua now the one getting involved, but just the tanks here, so they don't have much more kill potential. As I think Big Yuji happy to take this 1v1 against Rinjaru in left. Can't get it, and Panda Turtle falls. Hugs and kisses, H&K finding a couple kills.
Panda Turtle was alone on a Tier 2 tower, enemy Tier 2 tower, at the 14-minute mark and just expected to be able to walk away. You're Vulcan, homie. You're not Yanis. You can't just teleport across the map. Crazy to me that he thinks that he's allowed to stand there without any assistance from his team. And now H&K do pick themselves up a couple nice picks. They can look for some more pressure on the map, but look at this grouping. Annonster alone.
Yeah, just they're in another bad spot. Kirimi finds him. Hugs and H&K are starting to close the gap. Now, it's still 4K gold deficit, a little closer to 3K. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, but 3 kills in a row is an indication of which direction the wind is blowing. If Winter Dogs don't calm down and stay grouped, take smart fights, Hugs and Kisses are very capable of finding some picks.
And already they've found enough picks, I'd say, to make this a much more even game. I felt like Winter Dogs had a vice grip, but it's already slipped a fair amount. Surprising to see that H&K off of that pick and picking up that Tier 1 tower aren't willing to back up to the Pyromancer, maybe worried a little bit more so about Chronic's positioning a little bit too far back to follow up. But they can't just leave the area. If H&K completely leave, that opens up Winter Dogs looking at the Pyromancer themselves. And with Vulcan there, he's already on it.
Dropping the turret and swinging away. It's just that easy for him with all this extra damage. Now, he doesn't want to tank it this long. He'll get some help coming in from Gamma. Chronic, though, we'll see that this Pyromancer is going down. So it will not be free for Winter Dogs, or they have it low.
Free.
Chronic never really gets a chance to do anything, though. And as you said, this BOGO is free. It's on sale. They got it.
But on the opposite side of the map, with Winter Dogs grouping up so hard on the right, Renjaru doing his best to get a little bit of farm, but here comes Big Yuji.
Yeah, dropping in with the Apollo ultimate and forcing Rinjaru to run away. But maybe Rinjaru should have baited a little bit better. Kirmi was close, but so is plenty of follow-up from Winter Dogs. I'm glad Rinjaru just lives in that scenario and makes his way out.
I don't know, maybe a misplay from Renjaru not to fake the DC and just walk into a wall for a little bit, like Kirmi rotate in, the age-old call. But it's a big win for H&K nonetheless, being able to take away that Tier 1 tower. Maybe a slight loss in XP and gold, but definitely a huge boon as far as map pressure goes, and it seems like they want to keep this group going. Panda Turtle doesn't know they're there. Kirmi might have found himself a free pick.
But he can't quite snap the trap closed with Gamma here. Before this fight starts, look at Prip. Does he have Mana Chalice? I think we almost never see
Is that allowed?
happening. Yeah, but I don't know. Apparently it is. I thought it's one of those things that was ruled out by just lack of viability, but Primitive seems to have felt he needed it here in this.
Yeah, I mean, Mana Chalice, that's cool, I guess. You've already got Chronos Pendant for the MP5. That's essentially a permanent Mana Chalice just ticking away at your belt. And now he's going to be lacking on wards. It doesn't make any sense to me that he decides to pick that one up for himself.
Well, could be a bit of trouble here for Andy. He evades it, though, by using that ultimate and the beads defensively. The tone of this one has changed, hasn't it, Myth? I don't think the gold lead has shifted much, but the momentum seems to have gone back to H&K. So all it would take is one fight to bring that crashing back to earth. It's like Grey Life in a fighting game. If you get a punch in, you've been able to recollect it, as hugs and kisses only take a little bit of damage from Panda Turtle's ult.
And take a peek at the grouping. A 4-man core from H&K, whereas Winter Dogs, there's a 2-man grouping, a 1 dude on his own, another 2 in mid. It seems like H&K are always ready for the fight. They're always ready if they're able to catch someone out to immediately engage all 5 members, whereas Winter Dogs are constantly looking for these picks, but they've got a very team fight oriented draft. This Mulan as the front line, Gamma to set up with the cage and displace a couple members of H&K. Have we seen an Odin cage combo yet? I don't think we have.
You're right.
And that's why we haven't seen any respect from H&K. No Phantom getting picked up because who's Gamma caging? Maybe one person after a fight's already been won?
It's a bit surprising we haven't seen the combo as Gold Fury started up. H&K make a positioning mistake, and they're going to get here too late. Winter Dogs take the Primal, and a little bit of sleep at the wheel there from H&K. They had done such a good job of being there, but Winter Dogs find the window.
And I'm pretty sure H&K just straight up have a ward on it, by the way. Like, they knew the second they were there, and instead, you just de-group a little bit too hard. You're dancing around the Gold Fury. If both teams are dancing there and one just leaves, it doesn't take a mathematician to realize that the one that's still there is just going to take it, and Winter Dogs absolutely do. But the gold lead being 3,500 and 19 minutes is much less impressive than it was being 4K at 12. It feels like a lot of that lead is starting to fizzle out. This gold is meaning less and less as the clock moves on. And Winter Dogs do find themselves a nice win there, but it's going to take a little bit more for me to be convinced that they've got a nice grip on this match, and maybe Fire Giant or another team fight win. But H&K so far in neutral territory has been able to win out on the majority of these team fights.
They have been. H&K have done a really good job these last couple of skirmishes of finding some picks. Though I think Winter Dogs with that Fury is still controlled. Gamma in first, locking in Oceans. He drops down lurking in the waters and just can't make it out. 4 members of Winter Dogs were grouped up to jump him in the dark, and he ends up falling. Now Yuji has joined them with the ultimate, and that's Fire Giant started up. Winter Dogs have suddenly hit the gas here, Myth, and I don't think H&K were ready for it. The Fire Giant down to about a quarter. Ultimate from Vulcan there to confirm, and Winter Dogs at the objective. Kirmi gives his life away on the tail end, and Winter Dogs getting everything. Primitive
Nice
does
pick.
punish Yuji. Probably the best pick to get there, but still, Winter Dogs are coming.
Winter Dogs comfy enough to move forward as well. Aquarius isolated, trying to pick out Rajaru, who's forced into the ultimate.
And he does make it out of there, though Aqua's still hunting around for more. Not going to find it. I think a reset in order here for Winter Dogs is that last sequence, the Fury, the Fire, the picks onto Oceans and Kirmi, very clean from Winter Dogs.
I'm liking it a lot. That pick onto Ocean's so impactful. And you see the second he dies, he goes back to base in a body bag, essentially, and picks up a Phantom. He said, it's not going to happen to me, not again. And it's maybe a little too late as Fire Giant lands on the 4 members of Winter Dogs.
They're seeing who else they can grab. Andy should be okay at this point, though Aqua looking for a little bit more against Chronic. Maybe I just stopped casting the fights. They're fighting so often, Myth. I just let them blow on by. Phantom Veil, though, the upgraded version, is going to provide that 15% mitigation buff. That's huge, even if you're not thinking about the cage. It was to the point where I was wondering if maybe we'd see some Phantoms, even when there weren't that many cages once it's upgraded. How do you feel about this relic?
I think it's so slept on. Just as you said, the 15% damage mitigation is huge. That's 15% less damage overall.
Yeah.
Almost true defense, a better term for it. I think that it can certainly work out in general for these drafts, but it's a little bit of a shorter duration, I believe. Maybe it's only 10 seconds that one's applied
Yeah, I
inside
think
a
it's
team
5.
fight. So you have to, 5 seconds even.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to apply, maybe very strong up against the Vulcanold in particular if you want to try and evade that one out. But look at H&K again with this grouping. Maybe a little bit less advised this deep in the jungle.
Yeah, Yuji doesn't have the Fire Giant buff, but everybody else does. And Aqua pulling Oceans in, a 6-level gap between solo and support in the cage. Nearly locks them in. Phantom gets Oceans out, so the chase continues. But Oceans narrowly avoids the ultimate from Panda Turtle. They do give up the tier 2 in left. Everyone on Hugs and Kisses makes it back to safety except for Oceans. Aqua kept up the chase with those hooks, and Panda Turtle had the damage.
And Big Yuji has his eyes on the objective, going for the
good
Phoenix, but
knockup.
loses the majority of his health instantly.
But Primitive falls to Panda Turtle. Chronic, though, makes his way to the backline. The Mez buys Yuzi some time. He wants to lifesteal off the minions. It's not enough to keep him alive, though. Chronic gets the kill, so it's 2 for 1. Hunter traded out for basically everyone on H&K as Anster cuts the life short of Kirimi into the jungle. 48 seconds till we see him again. Meanwhile, Aqua, with this Fire Giant buff, is keeping up the chase. They want to burn down this left Phoenix.
They do, but they're low health, and Renjaru does so much damage at this point. It's going to be a very thin margin on the siege. No one quite able to tank it up. Maybe they stuck around too long as the chase is on.
They don't have Yuji's range damage on it either, so Winter Dogs give it up on the left side Phoenix. That might go down as a bloody victory for H&K. I know they lost a lot, but they kept their left side Phoenix standing and healthy.
They did, but that's all they did was keep their Phoenix up. They were able to kill one person in exchange for, I think it was a 3 on the side of H&K that fall down. So unfortunate for them, that lead is continuing to grow. And Big Yuji already didn't have the Fire Giant. The one pick you get doesn't take away that permanent, or not permanent, that semi-permanent buff, but it is going to wear off the next 20 seconds. H&K should be able to defend on this Fire Giant fight, but without the Phantom for the next minute or so, with the grouping already favoring Winter Dogs, this gold lead starting to tick up as well, it's going to be very hard for HK to justify fighting in.
Yet here they are, trying to defend the Oni Fury. Oceans gets blocked out by a great cage, and doesn't have the Phantom this time, so it's an easy kill for Panda Turtle. Still no ultimate onto the cage. They don't need that combo. They prefer these ultimates where Renjaru Aegis narrowly avoids its stun lands. Yuji over the top, and Renjaru is dead. Another 2 kills quickly going to Winter Dogs. They don't even take the Oni Fury, they just take the fight.
Life's hard, man. Life's hard for H&K. They think about defending the objective, but the objective was never the call from Winter Dogs. They saw the irises of H&K's eyes and immediately went in for that fight, dude. It's crazy, the bloodlust you can see in the play style coming here from the Order side. And now with 2 picks, Fire Giant respawning in 20 seconds, there's no world, I think, where H&K can step up here. This should be a free Fire Giant for the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, now after Hugs and Kisses, you have to just think about your defense. I mean, I suppose they have Merlin, right? And he's always good for defense with his range clear, but feels as though Primitive has been relatively quiet this game for them, so Hugs and Kisses going to need a really strong performance if they want to hold this base.
And not just Primitive, the rest of their defense is pretty strong. If Oceans goes in and doesn't even have to dedicate his body for the pluck, he can just walk up, tail whip, and set up for the gravity surge from Kirimi.
Sure.
Chronic being that huge frontline body with Nike, no Sunder coming through from Winter Dogs, means that he's always going to have access to that secondary health bar through the Sentinel of Zeus. There are a lot of ways that H&K can create space, and even in that very last fight we saw on the left side Phoenix, Renjaru's putting out so much damage now that it doesn't matter that Winter Dogs are so far ahead. With the Oboe and the Atalantis and the Kin size, no one can really stand in front of him for too long. So there are ways for H&K to fight in, but they've been taking fights just outside the Phoenix or in the jungle, or someone's getting picked at a tier 2 before the Phoenix defense. We need H&K to group up as 5 and do exactly that, play as a full 5-man unit. but so far we haven't seen it. They got to play a lot cleaner if they want that opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned Ranjaru's damage, not going the crit route this time. Not gonna believe him, there's a 700 gold difference between Failnaught and Odibo, so my man's going for the cheaper one when he's behind. Right side Phoenix is the target here, though, for Winter Dogs. At least it appeared to be. Looks like now they're rotating over towards mid. Hugs and Kisses, HNK are here to defend. No relics, though, for Rinjaru. Means he's got to be really, really careful. 30 seconds before he gets that added layer of safety.
Yeah, but look at this split push already. A 3-2 split with Panda Turtle and Big Yuji together. Normally you'll see the ADC, if he's a part of the two-man split, be paired up with the tank, which is why we see Gamma rotate over. But this response from H&K is interesting. Normally, we'll see these teams that are so far behind trying to dedicate the full 5 members the second Winter Dogs would have split up. But there it is, Aquarius pulled in.
But it's Aqua. That damage isn't enough for the kill, and Hugs and Kisses don't end up taking that much damage from the ultimate from Panda Cat. But now they got to do something about Yuji. BH when you're in the air, you never want to turn yellow in the sky, but it does help Yuji escape later. Good cage from Gemma, locks everyone out, and the Phantom Veil is used.
Right side Phoenix on 50%. Winter Dogs do a little bit to work their way in, but take a peek at those ultimates. Aquarius, Panda Turtle, Gamma, all lacking, whereas Hugs and Kisses only using the Gravity Surge should have a slight edge coming into this engagement. Relics, on the other hand, not really favoring either side. Most of the defensive relics still available, but nothing up for Aquarius. If he has to go back to base, he won't be able to teleport in again.
Good point. No free secondary life for him that these Sommeliers are so accustomed to. As H&K doing a decent job for now on this defense, but Winter Dogs can afford to take an attrition approach to this with the FG buff around their waist, with their significant lead. Slowly you'll wear down H&K's best resources, and then you'll have the lead as Andenster moves in mid. So does Gamma in right. Rinjaru is the target. He escapes. Good damage from Privative forces Panda Turtle and Yuji to back up. Meanwhile, in mid, Andenster and Aqua keep up their pressure. That's forcing H&K to split up their defense, but Gamma takes too much damage in the front, and still H&K are keeping their Phoenixes healthy.
They are, and they've worked through a lot of time, but they still have a steep hill to climb. 1:20 left on this Fire Giant buff. Gamma's in.
He's dropping down the cage, and the right side Phoenix now starting to crumble. Gamma gets the kill onto Privative. Andy alone whacking at mid as Rinjaru gets the better of Yuji. Gamma low as well as the pluck lands onto Panda Turtle. He's in the backline, big knockup, and Rinjaru gets the double. But Andy's finished with the mid Phoenix and can rejoin the fight. Oceans forces Aqua to back up, and H&K only end up losing one Firebird.
But look at the Deanster. He wants another one. Going over to the left side. Kirimi spots it out instantly, rotates through. Anitzer thinks better of it and leaves out of that situation. Yuji's got to play safer in these engagements. He can't be the first one dying every single time on these sieges. The front line of Winter Dogs aren't really creating the space. They're almost playing around that Phoenix line as well. They need to move up and create the space for Yuji if they want him to poke down these birds. Fortunately for the Winter Dogs, though, they are able to strip away at least one of them. That middle Phoenix is going to fall, making subsequent Fire Giants easier, but it's not the best Phoenix in the world. It's one of the easiest Phoenixes to defend. If you want to fight into the Fire Giant, pushing down the center of the map, very easy.
Looks like Winter Dogs are on the retreat. H&K were here to try and catch anyone who was slacking on the back. Fury is about to spawn, but H&K have their backs to it. They're running away, and Winter Dogs might be able to get the Primal Fury despite being on the retreat. So nice little advantage for them. Yuji uses his ultimate to rejoin them at the Fury, and they'll be able to burn this one down. So this defense from H&K, though, Miff, kind of as you covered, not bad. Maybe Winter Dogs struggling a little bit to open up that defense the way they need to, but I think they still got plenty of time to work at it with a 14K gold lead, maybe 13 more accurate at this point. Some 6 slots coming in for H&K, but Winter Dogs, I think they still got a window here to make this work.
H&K got to stop 2 more pushes, I'd say, because there's so many towers standing as well for Winter Dogs as well. Maybe if they get a clean wipe, H&K that is, they might be able to take down a bird. The game probably a little bit outside of their hands at this point, being as far down as they are. But look at them. They think to themselves, okay, we're able to win a fight on our Phoenix. Maybe we can win a fight on the Fire Giant as well. A slight grouping around that neutral objective, but I don't like this call for him. It's very dangerous. We know what works, which is Phoenix defense, when you've got that unofficial 6th man inside of that tower. Around the Fire Giant, I think I'd have to favor Winter Dogs 10-1 or 9-1.
Yeah, they're heavily favored in a fight on neutral ground. So much so that Panda Turtle Willing to take a little extra damage from the FG pit. Not a big deal at all, though. And Winter Dogs can start regrouping here around this next FG. Still no age assist for Privative and Rinjaru, something to worry about for them. It'll be up at about 20 seconds for the Jingwei pilot, 10 for Privative, as Gamma continues his hunt through the jungle, looking for more. Not going to find anything there, though. All the relics now up for Winter Dogs, as they take Pyro and happily will take any other fight Hugs and Kisses give them.
And Hugs and Kisses look like they are willing to give him that fight, but Kirmi all the way back in base. Now's not the time to move forward, boys. Wait for the 5-man grouping. Winter Dogs, on the other hand, still have Gamma kind of holding up the rear, hasn't really been able to push his way forward. I like this just more disciplined play style from Winter Dogs. They lose one fight around a fire, or the Phoenix, and decide themselves to play a little bit more consistently, a little bit more constrained in their decision making. And now we're starting to see H&K be forced to play that exact same respectful style. No Fire Giant getting started just yet. Oh, maybe I bite my tongue. EFG started up by Winter Dogs.
Now looking for a fight, trying to drag H&K in, so Chronic goes to the backline, 2-man knockup, and he's got the carries isolated. They're not in this fight at all. Chronic's done a ton of work here for H&K, but can the backline capitalize? The answer is yes. Aqua falls, and Chronic still stands. That Nike play was nuts, and now we'll see if H&K can find more. Anderson's been locked down. Beads have been forced out. Vulcan ult does help them clean up Chronic. Kirmi falls as well, and Andy gets a double. Despite the good start to this one, Winter Dogs clean it up. Andy gets the triple kill at Deicide, and this one is over. Let's move on to game 3.
Sometimes bad things happen to good people. If I'm Chronic, I'm tilted off the face of the planet. How did you guys lose a 4 versus 3 up
With no
against the
damage?
front lines?
Yeah.
I've got Vulcan and Big Yuji sucking their thumbs in the back line, not able to do anything, and we're still losing this fight. So unfortunate for
Brutal.
Hugs and Kisses, or unfortunate for Chronic in particular there. A well-fought game from Winter Dogs, a complete reversal from game 1. Minute 1 pressure propels them into the dub.
That's one of the clearest examples of how fights are meant to go, right? Often the solo laner's job is to try and pull the carries away so that your backline have a favorable fight, and then it becomes these two flanks, and which one can hold up longer. Chronic did his job, just didn't have the help there from the boys. And if game number 3 coming up, it's hard to know what direction that we're going to go. I know one thing, there's going to be plenty of action. Quick break, and we'll be right back.
You paint a picture in my mind. You wanna leave it all behind. In a world that's turning all the time, nothing could stop me longing for your eyes. I won't let it die. I can feel you when you're not around. When the night gets cold, I won't be alone. We won't be alone.
Welcome back to the SCC. It's Finch and Mifflin here, and we're going to be moving into our third game here of this set between, let me take a look, Hugs and Kisses and Winter Dogs. That's who it is. I gotcha. Now, this has been a back and forth set, Mifflin, with tons of, they have been fighting at every opportunity, but we were questioning the Odin bands, the Vulcan bands, all that stuff. Maybe they were right, because they look like a different team on Winter Dogs with those picks running over them in the early game, and particularly Gamma looked much improved to me, as did Andy, and it ended up resulting in a much closer game for them, to the point where they were able to win it pretty handily.
Yeah, no maybe there. No maybe. If Hugs and Kisses aren't banning Odin and Vulcan, never thought those words coming out of my mouth. They are misplaying. I mean, Gamma for that first one as well, taking that fight around this other unorthodox pick, the Apollo. Man, Winter Dogs just played whatever they felt like in that game.
Yeah.
They looked much better for it. I feel like they had the aggression in the early, and they controlled the pace so incredibly well. And if that's what it takes to get that pressure, these unorthodox picks, the Vulcans, the Odins, the Apollos, even the Mulans, absolutely take them. It's on H&K to figure out how to deal with it.
It is, and they struggled on dealing with it early. This was after Gamma had the pressure. He rotated over to red and found the first blood, and things didn't stop there. They end up trading out that support for Yuji, a favorable trade, and Panda Turtle had a great game here as well. We kept thinking it'd be an Odin Cage into Vulcan ultimate combo, but Panda Turtle much preferred just going for him, and some of them connected. It was enough. Mostly his damage came from the base abilities, though, and H&K had a hard time dealing with it.
Yeah, I don't think we saw the Odin ult into Vulcan ult a single time there, but we did see Odin ult finally get a kill, I think, for the first time on broadcast. We saw Primitive jump out of the cage there in the new Odin ult. Will chase you down with a spear once you jump out, so I think that's a pretty cool interaction. It's been a day of triple kills, man. I think that's the 5th triple kill we've had in this set in particular. It's been scrappy. It's been a lot of fighting. I guess we're bound for some multi-kills.
It just makes sense at a certain point, right, where these carries were able to end up eventually winning. Did you see the numbers, though, as we get ready to move into picks and bans for game number 3? I really think that Rinjaru ended up having a better game than Yuji towards the end, right? Even though Yuji was so far ahead, you kind of pointed it out. On those sieges, Yuji spent a lot of time taking death, right? He was struggling at the start of those fights. He was the first one that died pretty early. He was the one that got punished and never got to flex that lead that we knew that he had. I thought Rinjaru, though, on the Jingwei was able to do a really good job of playing patiently, of finding his damage, of having some tanks, I suppose, to throw his damage into. But I think in the end, Rinjaru on the Jingwei probably ended up having a better game.
Absolutely. I mean, even we just evaluate the damage numbers, as you said, Yuji did nearly nothing. He was there for structures and structures alone. Maybe Fire Giants and Gold Furies. Outside of that, that Apollo pick really was struggling. But I think that has to do partially with Winter Dog's front line kind of playing a little bit more hesitant. I think H&K's front line was much more willing to dive into the back. I mean, we saw it from Chronic in that very last team fight, single-handedly zoning both carries. Did we see that from Winter Dogs? I don't think so.
No, we didn't. It's hard to ask for your son later to do more than that. Let's catch up on these bans, though. I think that part of it was that the first pick for Winter Dogs, right? Where it was a little bit harder, I think, for H&K to find that Odin ban. This time, though, it's fitting in. They're banned the Odin. And they say, Gamma, if you want to run back that SWK, though, the Wukong, feel free, bud. But we don't want to see that Odin anymore. That was way too good.
Yeah, it took him 28 minutes to stack up that Warrior's Blessing on the Sun Wukong. That's pretty crazy. Jinku Bang is a ranged ability in my eyes. H&K, on the other hand, very happy to revisit the meta a little bit. This Rama first pick overall for him, forcing Winter Dogs to take the Cupid in their top 3 if they want. That's next best hunter, but I don't think they will, considering how the last couple picks and ban phases have gone. Instead, immediately going to reprise what works for him. Let's get him back on the Achilles. Let's get him back onto this Pele. Let's run everything back exactly as closely as we can. I wonder if Winter Dogs are going to be able to get that same level of pressure without the Odin, though.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to prioritize the Vulcan early as well. I think the Apollo and the support pick may be the ones that could wait a little bit if they want to run that back. But now it's a hell. No Odin Cage to cancel it out. And H&K are trying to put this one to bed, it feels like. Maybe putting a bit of a clock on this one. Because eventually this hell is just going to be healing. And I think her damage sometimes, Myth, goes a bit discounted as well. Hell hurts as much as she heals.
And we'd like to say she's a late game powerhouse because she absolutely is in sustain and damage, but her early game damage is nothing to scoff at.
Sure.
Disperse, all of it does so much. I like to equate her to just almost Hebo damage. At level 3, Hell should be dealing similar amounts, just on a slightly longer cooldown, but also from a safer distance. But you're right, Finch. Winter Dogs absolutely want to pick up that Vulcan in the early game, or the early phase of the draft, top 3. So interesting that this pick, this unorthodox pick that has largely been left by the wayside by every other level of player, the SPL, hates this pick. I mean, Paul, the guy who used to play it back in Season 5, has gone on record saying that this god is just bad, impossible to play, but it has so much success in Game 2 that I can't fault Winter Dogs for wanting to take it back again.
Yeah, I can't either. H&K, I'm wondering if they're going to try to ban out a little bit towards that support role. And if they are, it'll be warrior bans. We'll know if they're banning the support role because they won't ban a single guardian. It'll be warriors. And they ban away this Cupid, want to make sure that they don't give anything easy over to Yuji to play. And then they ban away the Mulan. Now, that's more of a solo lane ban. That's where they played the Mulan last time, maybe. This Achilles early pickup could even be going potentially in the support role. They could flex around and do all kinds of stuff as finally the Jingwei goes the other direction. Renjaru played this 2 games in a row, but this time it'll be going over to Yuji.
Is what you thought, but he locks in the Apollo again. I mean, after Game 2 performance, yeah, maybe you would have want to see him on something else, but instead, he likes how that early game went for him. The audacity
Went really well.
got a lot of use in that early game, so I think maybe he's looking to get the pressure there and potentially play that exact same split push role that we saw in Game 2, but it's going to be much harder to operate in the 1v1 up against a Rom and now a Kuzenbo as well, somehow making his way that deep into the draft. That's a hard duo lane to fight into, even when you're playing the meta picks, let alone an Apollo.
Listen, I feel like I've been slapped in the face. This H&K draft is just a good draft, right? This
It's
is a
just
draft
good.
that you could play anywhere at any point against the best of teams. The Bakasura is a little bit odd. We don't see him nearly as much anymore, but I still think he can be a really strong pick here, Mifflin, and particularly into someone like Vulcan, where he could be limited by that cripple field. I think this can really work.
Yeah, backfire, all of a sudden your soul escape tool that only moves you about 3 feet is lost. Your main damage output is lost. What are you going to do? Kill yourself with a meatball? No. Bakasura is CC immune once he does the ultimate as well. It's so hard. It's a direct counter matchup in the Vulcan and Apollo as well. If you can predict the Mez, Bakasura is going to eat just about everyone on the side of Winter Dogs.
Well, games 1 and 2 were both aggressively in favor of one team basically the whole way. So will game 3 be the same? Gamma picks an actual guardian in support, but still basically a warrior as far as I'm concerned into this Amir. He loves to scrap. And every other of these pieces is the same. Andidster had a great game on the Pele. Yuji's back on the Apollo. But will it be enough to beat a traditional draft from H&K? But look at this aggression. They're just roaming around the jungle looking to catch someone off guard. I think H&K have done enough, though, to get some space and should be relatively safe. But they're just going to invade purple again at the start of this game.
But this time, probably going to be a 3 split. I don't think Aquarius can leave until a little bit later on. He's going to have to teleport back to lane pretty soon. But look at his positioning. He goes back into the lane and teleports out instead of helping with the purple. So now H&K have an opportunity to fight in without having to worry too much. This is what happened last time. Don't let Big Yuji get his audacity before you choose to take the fight.
It looks like Winter Dogs might be going a little bit differently about this one, though. UG going to go back to lane, as is Gamma. So it looks like playing it a bit slower for H&K this time will let them get their purple at the very least. Though it looks like maybe a little bit of zoning going on here for Winter Dogs. They're going to let a couple minions just die to the wave and deny some farm if they can. Safe passing from Renjaru down underneath as well means he gets here very delayed. And I think Winter Dogs still get their eventual end result of denying some farm to H&K.
They do deny some farm, but they open themselves up to counterattack. Winter Dogs' purple is still up,
Wow,
and if we get a
up?
rotation from H&K, they might be able to strip it away. Red buff is up as well for Winter Dogs. So much of that left side jungle is exposed.
Renjaru gave them so much respect there. The whole point of playing ROM, you want to move up level 1 and use that astral arrows to hit the whole wave, but he gave him a lot of respect. Didn't matter though. Winter Dogs go back to purple, and here H&K are to try and contest. Renjaru gives up on it though, so does Oceans. They don't like their chances here and go right back to farming.
I understand why they're playing a little bit safer. Ymir's damage with the Frostbite passive is so high at this
It's
point,
high.
probably swinging for about 80 per auto attack, but he's also got the boosted Heavenly Agility. Yeah, I get it. Play back. If he hits you with a slow and then Heavenly's at you, there's no escape. Yeah, I like this call from HK actually.
Well, for all their safety, here they are in danger of getting first
Whoa,
blood.
oh,
Fine push though. They still lose first blood. Rinjaru dives and Inster lives. And I just don't understand, man. For all their caution, they seemed unaware of this level 2 gank again from Andy.
Man, Andy's been here every single game, Agent K. Fool me once, can't put the blame on you. Fool me twice. You know, life's hard, dude. Play safer. You already were. Just one more moment would have got you out of that situation. And where is Kirmi for the entirety of that fight? If he rotates over, Andinster dies, potentially all of them die because they dedicate the Heavenly Agility to playing the aggressor instead of saving it for the retreat. Fortunately for Winter Dogs, they would likely spotted out Kirmi on that center of the map, just farming up in mid, creating just an opportunistic opportunity for them to get a first blood.
Well, this is great because Winter Dogs now have pressure to even steal purple if they want to, and that's exactly where Gamma goes. Now, the trouble is that H and K are at red, so Kirmi can rotate in. He's lurking off to the side. There's the push, and Gamma's locked down. Butcher Blades is great damage over the tank. Is Privatim in trouble as well. Rinjaru gets the pick, a much-needed one, and it's a 3-man collapse onto Yuji as well. But Yuji rolling forward is enough to get the damage onto Rinjaru, who's now died twice in 3 minutes. ADC is hard. I don't care what you say.
You know what? You literally have a butler. You have an inbuilt butler in the game. I don't want to go into it. ADC is not that hard. You got waves coming to you for farm.
They're all over here, dude. Leave us alone.
Every single one of your auto attacks, you get 2.5 of them a second, by the way, is a literal spell. It swings for like 500, you know, whatever. Well played from Winter Dogs to continually find this aggression inside of the long lane, trying to find a purple buff invade as well. And this Vulcan pick is crazy. Is it not nuts that he's been able to find the aggressive pathing every single time?
Right.
Even though he's playing one of the least mobile mages in the game?
Ocean's looking for a push here, but now that Yuji knows, oh, Maz off the mark, so the push will end up happening, but Yuji, again, just takes the fight up against Rinjaru. They do still have a little bit of help. Privative is nearby, but he will not rotate in after all. Meanwhile, Kirmi waiting for a gank. Chronic has the ultimate. The Regurgitate never comes out, though, with Fatal Strike ready, so not much chance of that gank working there.
Unfortunate. I don't understand why Kirmi is so hesitant to rotate over into this duo lane or even in a mid. The second I'm taking level 5 on Bakasura, it's time to hit the jets, if you would. Use that ultimate
You gotta stop.
and get into the backline. Apollo, terrible matchup. Vulcan, terrible matchup. Kirmi, I understand that you're playing one of the best farming junglers in the game, and he probably wants to get this Golden Blade up as soon as possible to even speed up that farm further, but he's at a point right now where no one can really deal with him.
This is good from Winter Dogs, though. They're looking for more pressure here for the purple buff spawn. I thought initially they might have wanted red, but it's purple. Oceans and Rinjaru both here if they can find the defense. The ultimate's coming in from Yuji as well. As this wall locks Oceans into his death. Another perfectly executed gank from Winter. But here Kirmi is dropping down Regurgitate, leaping in and catching the Vulcan ultimate. But Rinjaru snipes land. Primitive's damage is enough to kill Gamma, and the rotation from H&K evens the scales.
But look at Andinster. He's already been willing to dive this tower at level 3. I don't think he's going to feel any differently about it at level 6. If Primitive rotates in a little bit lackadaisically, he should get caught out by the Pele, but spots him out on the ward and immediately backs up. Andinster is not going to get anything for his troubles. But fantastic wall from Gamma there to set up for a kill, but then an even better ultimate from Bakasura. Not only hitting Apollo, but also Panda Turtle on this Vulcan. That's the counter matchup, man. Nothing they could do about it.
Annister takes a little bit of damage, but nothing particularly crazy. He is A-okay. Gamma, how much better has he looked on everything but the Wukong, by the way? The Odin looked
Way
great.
better.
The Amirs looked great. My man's been a different man after changing around. Maybe Winter Dogs ban the Wukong going forward.
It's such a weird time to roast my boy, but you're right to do it. Like, I don't want to.
It's pass. He's playing well.
We got gassing him up. Ban out his god pool.
Listen, if 2 out of 3 games he's fragging, then that's fragging the majority of the time. I'm on Gamma's side here, all right? I won't let it happen any other way.
All right, you're on Gamma's side, but let me hit this point real quick. Wukong support can work. It didn't, but it can.
Oh, Yuji in trouble. You mentioned that part of the matchup, right? You can't hit him with the CC right at the start of that regurgitate, and Kirimi's able to make it work. Yuji has no answer, but Andy wants revenge. Ranjaru's beads coming out once he's already knocked up. What a perfect wall there from Gamma, who I'm a fan of, by the way. Now, the leap in, and it's in trouble in the back, but gets the kill into Kirimi first. Ranjaru gets the trade, ends up being 1-for-1, but they already lost Yuji at the start.
Another sick wall from Gamma to separate that fight. Fantastic play. I, too, am a fan of the Amir player on Winter Dogs.
It's been working well for him here so far. He's going to have to see if he can help out a lot more because they're losing a lot of that early pressure they had. This might be a bit risky from Privative. Yeah, he decides to give that up in the end, especially with Yuji rotating in. A good call as Purple falls again. But H&K with heavy rotations to duo, where all the action's been, 480Cs, I think they've been able to even out some of this pressure.
They have been, but H&K found themselves the Vulcan. Where did this come from? Oceans brings it to the doorstep of Kirimi, who gladly takes another kill. This Vulcan not performing nearly as well in Game 3, maybe because of this Bakasura pivot from Kirimi, making it so much harder for him to execute. And already we're starting to see a small lead established for the supports and the ADC. Hugs and Kisses getting a little bit lead in the ADC. Gamma pulling slightly ahead on the Zamir, but largely this game has remained even despite such a strong start from Winter Dogs.
It's very impressive what H&K have done here, and it's just been the numbers. They've brought Kirimi finally over to duo. They've brought Privative over to duo, right? And it's evened this thing out. I mean, Mist's been asking for it since like 12 minutes into Game 1. We finally did it, and lo and behold, it's panning out here for them. But I think that Hugs and Kisses are not out of the woods by any means. They need to make sure they're keeping Privative comfy and cozy as Kirimi blinks in, Regurgitate on Panda Turtle, but not quite able to keep that Regurgitate in the perfect spot, and now that's left Ranjaru alone. Interrupt in the middle of the dash. That's the easiest kill you'll see Andy get.
Easiest kill of all time, perhaps. I mean, Ranjaru doesn't have time to get up into the air, and even if he does, no one's in range to follow up there. But did you see that Bakasura damage?
Yeah.
3 autos takes out 60% of that health bars. Andy goes in?
Wow, my man's a mad lad. Always has been and still is. Fortunately, though, he makes it out of there A-OK. Perfectly willing to use that Volcanic Lightning aggressively. Does eventually, though, have to fall back. Has the bodyguard, the butler, as you put it there, in Gemma, to create some space.
Yeah, it must be nice just having a role dedicated to tending to your needs and the whims of the day. Yeah, come over here. I'm getting camped. I need some help. Leave. I need to farm up on my own. ADCs are so selfish, man. I don't want to hear it anymore. But I am really impressed by Gamma's play in Game 3. He's established a huge lead over Oceans, and he's continually doing just this, finding pressure around the purple.
Yuji coming in to help, a 2-man freeze, and my man Yuji looks at it, and so they get the purple over the back. That's nuts. My man's like, whoa. He got both of them. I wasn't ready. That's a really good freeze there from Gamma, and they don't quite get the purple buff invade, but they still have all this pressure in duo, right? And it's on the back of Gamma. I mean, he's been playing lights out.
He really has been, man. Imagine if Yuji's playing on her or Neath or Artemis or literally anyone else that has a form of CC or a spell to use. The best Yuji could have done there is hit So Beautiful for like 140 damage on 2 targets. This Apollo pick is solely picked up for the survivability and the defense that he gets the Mez, as well as the ability to ult into lane. I don't think I've seen Yuji walk into this lane a single time since he's locked in the Apollo. Unfortunately, Gamma, the one suffering for it, that was a nice freeze, just no reward for it.
Yeah, I think Mifflin might have saw a bit of himself in that one. How often in your games are you finding all the setup and there's just no backup behind? But I think Yuji has shown us that later on in the game we'll be able to see it from him. Look at Gamma's build though, Miff. Reinforced shoes and another great wall into the
This guy's sick.
Into the wing blade. Good response though coming out from Oceans to avoid the freeze. But I think if we're gonna go a big health item like this, don't you like the tank boots in front of it? I like this build, pal.
I do. The tank boots, though, maybe a little bit less so. Yuji refusing to walk in a lane. Ults in for the 4th time this game.
Oh, but Vandisser's the one that's been caught. Kirimi drops the ultimate. Regurgitate damage is here from those Butcher Blades with the extended range on the autos, but somehow Oceans is the one that ends up falling. It's 1-for-1, though. Jungle for support. So yet again, you take that trade as Panda Turtle trying to find a way to do damage over the wall.
Ocean's getting the worst end of every single trade. Panda Turtle getting the worst end of that one as well. Don't step up the health. Fantastic wall.
But the cleanse was there. Privative was ready if a freeze had come. Kirby had the lead too, so no way for Gamma to get the punish he needed. Panda Turtle off the mark with that meatball, but not with the backfire. Though Kirby defends the purple buff, they'll get red as well. Both solo laners rotating over to mid. Listen, if everyone's going to be in left, then maybe the solo laners can come get some of that mid farm.
Maybe. I mean, it's just farm going the way of no one. Might as well give it to Aquarius or Chronic, whoever rotates in first. But take a peek at this Hell build. Normally, we see it go a little bit more defensively, especially against a Pele and Achilles and Apollo gods that are able to dive in so well. We might see a Breastplate of Valor more often than not, but Privative instead going a little bit more damage-centric in the build. And already we're seeing the fruits of that labor. That damage output that he has on Panda Turtle is ridiculous. Don't step up, Anister. You'll lose 40%.
How am I ever questioning Myth? He said the hell early game damage is scary, and here it is, Privative playing confidently around it. I mean, listen, you gotta know that you have that potential there with Hell, and Privative seems confident in it. And he's been everywhere, man. 2-0-1, just as impactful as Kirmi this game.
He is, but now Gamma moving up, but he's alone this time. No follow-up to be had, but not for lack of damage, but Vulcan ult, a little bit shy, wasn't quite able to find its way home.
Yeah, but you're right. Gamma, every bit as confident as Privative, isn't he? A wall, freeze, shards of ice. My man thought he had the solo kill potential there. It didn't quite materialize, but everyone on H&K, I think, knows they got to give Gamma his respect.
They do, and it seems like everyone on H&K want to fight just as much as Gamma does, as do Winter Dogs. The pace has not slowed down at all. Usually in Game 3 scenarios, we'll see a team play a little bit more hesitant because everything's riding on the line, but nothing slowed down here. We're looking at 13 kills in 13 minutes, and I don't imagine it stops.
No, Kirmi should get a very easy kill here on the Panda Turtle with some help from Privative. Nice little gank. Andister and Gamma get there too late to be of help. And as you mentioned, that's what should happen to this Vulcan. I mean, pretty close to cooldown, right? As now they want another one. Kirmi, though, maybe not expecting Oceans to get the CC that well, leaps away. Now Andister goes in, blows up Oceans incidentally, does end up losing to damage from Rinjaru, though. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of H&K. Gamma gets the freeze at the Privative of the left side of the fight. Yuji trying to follow up, but so beautiful, and does. Should be a kill here once Gamma gets an ability up to follow this. Heal comes in, does hit the 2. Thankfully, Yuji, who loves to ults, and Privative dies.
If Gamma doesn't hit that slow there, I'm pretty sure Privative makes it out of that situation alive. Not easy to land the Glacial Strike off of nothing, so another good play from Gamma, but we gotta stop talking about it. He keeps finding these wall freezes.
Yeah, now Rinjaru's the one in trouble, and Yuji's here to follow up this time. Dashes in, Mez gets cancelled out immediately, but Shards of Ice guarantees the kill. Gamma doing it all here for Winadog so far. Him and Andy getting it all done.
They really are, and you know what? I'm not even willing to give the credit to Andy. I'm going to say 100% Gamma at this point. These walls have been so impressive, and it sets them up for the first objective of the game. Gold Fury getting pulled out by Winter Dogs. No response from H&K. This should go their way pretty handily, but look at the gold differential. 1,200? That's nearly nothing.
Yeah, especially 15 minutes in, and especially with a Hell in the oven, in the slow cooker, ready to go, right? I mean, they're going to be feeling pretty good in the late game as long as this Hell sustain hits home. I want to make sure I always put the clarifier on there. If played optimally, I think that they have the slight advantage with this Hell is, hey, Pyromancer starting up. Aqua kind of on his way, not actually. I think this Pyro is going to be free for H&K.
And it's trying his best to get there in time with the game sense of someone who's played the game for 8 or 9 years now, knows that something's awry, doesn't see anyone on the mini-map, but couldn't quite get to the Pyromancer, unfortunately. So that gold lead that was established by Winter Dogs is cut again. H&K still slightly behind. But now no neutral objective left on the map. We can go exactly back to where both these teams love being, in that laning phase with tons of fighting.
That's what they've enjoyed here so far, is Gamma is the target of a little bit of damage. Chronic even willing to use the ult. They want this damage onto Gamma. I've yet to say kill because it seems so unlikely, and yet the damage continues. Ultimate comes out, and Gamma Wall forces Rinjaru. Snipes did everything he could, but a literal 5-man gate gets the kill. As even Ocean's continuing to go in, Yuji lands with his ult. It's Arena in the middle lamb, A-Ram, as Yuji ends up falling. Anderson gets the return kill, though, as it's 2 for 2. Rinjaru puts Andy down, though, to make it 3 for 2 as H&K win the fight.
HK win the fight pretty handily, and it seems like they're not done. Primitive, in a constant state of lacking mana, won't have much to help out his team here, but they want the tower anyway. Panda Turtle so low, gotta be careful.
Chronic moves to the back line, though. He's the one that gets the kill on the Panda. That leaves Aqua here all alone. Level 17, though, the mightiest of all, daring H&K to keep this fight up under tower. But they answer the call handily. The tier 1 tower low, but Aqua is defending it. Aqua has a chance to kill Primitive. Aegis and the healing, though, gets him out. And Aqua, in the end, ends up getting nothing.
Primitive using such good use of that mana sustain from his build, just keeping in this team fight. I thought he was 40 seconds ago, but he hasn't stopped using abilities. He's constantly getting involved, and Gamma, trying his best to be annoying, stops the back with the wall. Not going to get much else off that. Ocean's just kind of playing around.
What a crazy fight, though, in mid. Is that how you see these fights going from now on, or do Winter Dogs still have some ways to fight back into this?
Winter Dogs have ways to fight in, but it's going to have to involve keeping Panda Turtle safe, keeping him alive, making sure Big Yuji doesn't dunk down into the middle of 4 members and get slammed in the face for his entire health bar every single time. We need Andenster alive to start off these engagements. And if we are going to fight 5-on-5, why did we wait until after all the neutral objectives were already dead? What are you fighting for in mid right there? A tier 1 tower that was on 10% HP? It's so strange that Winter Dogs decided to dig their heels in deep there.
Yeah, I mean, they'll take another little skirmish as Kirmi drops down the Regurgitate, isn't able to find a whole lot, leaves out, but Andy chases in, Gamma sets up for it all, and that's 2 kills going the way of Winter Dogs. Renjaru gets 1, though, in return, but it's a double for Panda as he puts Ocean in the ground, and they would like to find more here if they can. Panda Turtle continuing to chase. Andenster, though, bites off more than he can chew. Renjaru used the bead to avoid the knockup, and now he's got the snipes. Panda Turtle falls as Renjaru shows what ADCs can do. Fights 2.
Fights 2, and Yuji doing the exact same, an equally hype play, taking down the tier 2 tower on the left side. Huge gold swing for the Winter Dogs.
I love ADCs. They're sick, baby. And they're fragging everywhere. Listen, this is still favoring Winter Dogs, though, right? That tier 2 tower split was huge because they're up now a little over 3,500 gold. Yeah, 3,600 experience. Tremendously in their favor as well. So, you know, while we're having some fun here with this one, Winter Dogs are hard at work establishing a lead.
Why are they walking at Renjaru in that situation? They're like 30% health. My man has ult. He would have killed you anyway, bro. Like, you'd have to let him do it with auto attacks as Chronic takes another engagement against Yuji in the jungle. Takes away 50% of his health bar. Doesn't get hit a single time. Fury respawning in 30 seconds. H&K trying their best to establish some dominance on the map.
Listen, that's another thing I know about us ADCs. If we're not 45 units away, we're not trying to auto, all right? We ain't trading even. We're taking the damage in the back as we run like the cowards we are. And, you know, we got to retreat sometimes and wait for our butlers to get back in and set up for us. I'm a big fan of if I'm at an end of a game at low damage, I'm like, all right, my support didn't set up for me enough, all right? That's what it was, you know? That's how I feel about it.
Say it this time, though. Gamma's been actually popping off.
He's doing everything.
These walls are amazing. And look at him. He reestablishes defensive positioning around the Gold Fury on his own. He just walks in, and everyone from H and K back up. Now the 5-on-5 engagement starts up. Soul Laner's already rotated in. It should favor Winter Dogs around this fight. Not only the gold lead, but the positional advantage as well.
Gamma walks in and freeze under Privative, though, not the call. He's got the cleanse. Now the freeze comes through and Privative low. Shard device there. Vulcan ultimate too, but Aegis buys time, execute range, and Aqua gets the first kill onto Privative. But Kirmi cuts down Gamma in response. Execute off the mark from Aqua, so we'll have to keep hunting us. The snipes are not landing from Renjaru. He gets shut down. Aqua gets a double 3 for 1 in favor of Winter Dogs, and I don't think Andy's done. He wants another one, but Chronic too safe.
Gamma dies so Winter Dogs can run a 3 for 1, but that was a worthy sacrifice from Gamma. That wall amazing to split up the fight, not only establishing dominance on the map, but also setting up for so much damage from his team, resulting in a very clean fight for Winter Dogs. Gold Fury goes their way, and they're not done. 3 dead for another 10 seconds. I think they could even go for the Fire Giant itself.
Looks like they are over on that side of the map, but who cares for Pyro? They're hitting FG. And it looks like they're spending so much time in mid, H&K that is, dealing with Andy, that they're not even thinking about coming to FG. They're down 6K, maybe it's a tough contest with low members anyway, but it looks like this Fire Giant is free, well earned by Winter Dogs on the back of a big fight at gold.
7 8,000 gold. Fire Giant, I like to call it 10,000 right there. Let's say 17,000 separating these two teams. 3 towers still standing, if you want to call that tier 1 and mid actually standing, maybe hobbling a better word for it. Now Hugs and Kisses in a very hard position. They're lacking true confirmable ranged AoE damage. Hell, more so plays like Hebo has to be a little bit closer in on these fights.
Yeah.
The sustain going to be lost a little bit, or the value of the sustain that Hell brings lost a little bit when contending with Fire Giant. The HP 5 from it going to be able to match at least a little bit of what Hell is bringing as well. This is going to be a hard defense from H&K. I think we got to keep our eyes on Kirmi. If Kirmi isn't straight up killing Panda Turtle, he didn't do his job in my eyes.
He's got to get rid of Panda Turtle early. We're thinking here in this one. Look at the gap in support. This is support diff if I've ever seen it, huh?
High
06 to 10, level
levels.
12 for Oceans, 17 for Gamma,
God.
a part of 14. Aqua going to step forward. Winter Dogs want this mid tier 2, and rightfully H&K elect to give it up. Plenty of time left on this FC for Winter Dogs, though. And there's the back coming through from Privative. He'll get here just in time to help defend as Winter Dogs are on the edge. Moving forward is Gamma, but Oceans goes to the back line. Blink Watery Grave is disruptive, and they'll have to wait another minion wave.
Yeah, he just bought his team 2 whole seconds to reposition around this Phoenix and lost out on the CC immunity. Gamma spots it out instantly, moves up.
Another good cleanse though for Privative. Yuji into the back line looking for Rinjaru. He's been in his head all set, but doesn't get the better of him there. Kirmi leaps to avoid getting hit by the Vulcan ultimate. Does get executed though by Aquarius as it's 1-for-1 Kirmi for Yuji. The mid Phoenix though still plenty healthy, and Hugs and Kisses now with a chance to win the fight. Oceans jukes the fatal strike, and Aqua all alone in the back of the fight. Anister though still gets a kill to Rincharu somehow in the fountain. Almost gets another one to Privative, but it's 3 for 2, and the mid Phoenix still standing. But a great wall from Gamma. Panda Turtle takes mid Phoenix, and Winter Dogs at least get what they came for.
We got to get a great wall counter for Gamma, because that is ridiculous how many he's been able to find because of all this aggressive play. They do finally pick up that Phoenix, as you highlighted. It could have gone a little bit better had Aquarius, the Yuji, and Anister decided not to tank up the Titan and instead played around the objective. But they were able to pick a couple return kills in exchange, Kirmi and Renjaru falling just to the damage output. But this is tough, man. Even a small win for H&K being able to tear back a couple of kills isn't enough to make up for the deficit that's already been established. 8,000 gold mid-Phoenix, and still Fire Giant on 2 for another minute or so. Nobody's safe.
No, not at all.
Oh no.
Great example. Cleanse is already used, so the freeze lands. Beads comes out from him, though. It's Panda Turtle trying to find the angle in. Privative with the beads does enough to live, but Gamma again collecting a bounty.
Dude, Gamma's got them all in the backpack. I've never seen 4 people enter a backpack so snugly. Burns away the beads on Hell alone. He's doing everything, man. He really is. Gamma is judge, jury, and executioner in every single one of these team fights. Whoever he chooses needs to die absolutely does with this wall placement. The freezes all finding their way home. Fantastic play out of the red team support. Huge fan of Gamma, by the way. Stop playing Sun Wukong. Now, Fire Giant respawning in 40 seconds. I don't see a world where HK steps up to it.
No, I don't think they can at this point either. They're down, 7k gold. They have to keep defending the mid wave as well to keep that Phoenix out. So they have a lot to do. How does this keep happening, though, by the way? Rinjaru has 10 kills and Yuji has 1. Can we see the player damage charts as well? Somehow, Yuji's got Gamma, the best player on the map, and he's not finishing off these kills. He's doing some damage. He's down in the bottom at 12k, though, but how does this keep happening where Rinjaru's doing more?
Well, I mean, Fitch, I can't say it and not sound... He's just better, dude. Your Honor, my man is built different. Renjaru came to play and Yuji came to push. Luckily, that's all Winter Dogs needs from him.
That's right. Yuji is getting around the map well with these ultimates, and he's fulfilling his role for Winter Dogs the same way that Rinjaru is for Hugs and Kisses. They're just doing different things here at this point in the game. That's the 2-2 tower going down in right. Map completely controlled by Winter Dogs at this point. And only a 1 kill disparity, but it is a 10k gold disparity.
And the cold is really crippling at this point. I mean, just take a peek at the builds, hugs and kisses. Some of them just finishing up their 5th item. Some of the members of Winter Dogs considering what they want in that true 6th item slot. As Gamma, again, hey, give me that ward. It's mine now. You can't walk through walls. That belongs to me. Gets ward vision on top of the Fire Giant. Sets up for his team. Winter Dogs a little bit less grouped up, but Gamma knows where he needs to be. Fire Giant spawns, Gamma's there.
I can't wait till they group up on me, right? When they eventually do, because Gamma's in the right spot already. The boys are on their way though. Maybe not Aqua, who's in the mid looking for opportunities. Looks like H and K want to at least do a bit of a soft defense on this FG though, Myth. They've pushed this mid wave up. Their Phoenix is not too far from spawning, and they're close. But if they're going to do anything about this FC, they have to do it soon. It's already down to half HP. Winter Dog's in control. Aqua steps up to be the zone as the Fire Giant now below half. Go to wall and Gamma again keeps the rest of H and K at bay. But they've dropped the Fire Giant looking for the fight. Andy wins the fight up against Kirmi handily, even with some backup from Winjaru, and it's still fine. Now the ultimate has to come out defensively from Oceans, as that wall might have kept them out of the ultimate. Doesn't matter though, they're so heavily separated from everyone else, they'll get the kills anyway. Aqua gets the first one on the Rinjaru, Yuji diving the backline, getting the better of Primitive, and that might have been enough there, Myth. Winter Dogs in a dominant position from this point.
Well, they've got the Oni minion wave leaking its way down mid, a fire minion wave with it as well. 3 members dead, and Chronic not allowed to back with Aqua on his back. Oceans, hey man, you don't even have the Beyblade. Might as well just hide in Fountain. Don't let your KD get tarnished.
Yeah, this is one of those times where you want to try and look out for yourself. That is the win for Winter Dogs. Game number 3 going their way in 28 minutes. It's a deicide to end on 24-20. 44 kills in 28 minutes. What a slugfest, man. This is like a boxing match where there's no guarding, we're trading blows, and this time it ends up favoring the Winter Dog.
Why wouldn't they protect their faces, Fitch? It's not hard to guard. Just do one of these for a second. It's not that bad. But they didn't want to. It was a constant slugfest, a mud battle, a wrestling match between these two teams. And you know what? Gamma does drop the wall at the end to make sure that Panda Turtle doesn't find the ultimate. But I'm going to put the blame on Panda Turtle. Wait for the setup, man. That's a sick wall from Gamma. Imagine if Panda Turtle just waits.
We see a couple of times where the CC maybe eludes the carries in this one, but what an impressive game from Winter Dogs, right? I mean, I think that Andy and Gamma in particular really turned their performances around after game 1 where they struggled mightily. Those can be forgotten, I think, after the performances they had in game 2. Andy gets pushed under tower.
At level 2.
And lives, dude, and gets first blood. Absolutely nuts.
Good God, and Gamma right there catches the dash, frame 1 with the wall. Yeah, I don't want to see any replays that aren't Gamma, by the way. This is all I need to see from this game. Was that another missed ult from Panda Turtle when there was a perfectly set up wall for him to aim at? This Vulcan, man, play around your best player, and in that game, it's certainly the Ymir.
Yeah, Gamma had an excellent one. Aqua got some big executes for them on the tail end of that game as well. And Oceans, I think he was off the mark with that execute. Yeah, I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. In the end, cleaning it up later didn't quite matter that much. And this was them closing this one out. Not quite, they're 5 minutes away from the end, but a fight on the Titan nonetheless. And still, I think some things that need to be cleaned up on the other side here as well. I mean, I know that Winter Dogs played really well, but I think H and K got a little bit ahead of themselves at some moments. You have to do whatever you can to get Primitive to the late game if you're going to put him on a helm.
Yeah, I agree completely. And it felt like Kirmi was so hesitant to get involved in those early fights on the Bakasura. We saw him rotate in maybe once into the duo lane, and he picks up a double kill, catching Vulcan and Apollo. And then since then, I don't feel like I saw Kirmi unless he was getting soloed by Annenster.
We gotta get Slaughter Squad some games, it looks like, as Winter Dogs are way up at the top all alone. They played one more game than everyone else, though, so Rocky and Get a Grip could certainly join them if they were to win their matches coming up here right now. But Winter Dogs, I think after their performance, no surprise that they're up near the top of North America. When they are hitting everything, they are looking like the best team. Schedule, though, coming up a little bit later. We just saw the Winter Dogs win, but if you stick around after SPL, we had some additional matches to play out here today. Then you'll get to see the Get a Grip, Dawn to Tahiti, and the Slaughter Squadron match coming up later. But as I mentioned, some rescheduled game's going to be happening. PK's game, if you're SPL fans, I got to imagine you are, going to be starting right as soon as we're done here with this SCC. So make sure you stick around for that one. Lots, I think, to kind of be found out here in the SPL matches coming up today.
Yeah, busy week, a busy couple of weeks for PK. Now, is it a double header if memory serves for PK today? It is not. It's going to be up against United for the makeup, so it's one that you should probably favor. The reigning world champions and United on a bit of a backslide recently, struggling, except when they come up against my boys on the Obey squad, but who isn't bullying my boys on the Obey squad?
And then all the top 14 have been battling lately here as well. We got Ghost Sanguine a little bit later, and then Radiant SSG. So you know what that means. Don't miss any of these SPL sets. Going to be a quick break from us, then right back with the SPL.